Today's episode of the One Piece podcast is sponsored by Right Stuf. The Right Stuf annual holiday sale is finally here. There are new items added to this sale daily, and you can save up to 95% on DVDs, Blu-rays, books, and merchandise. Quantities on some of these items are limited, so make sure to order early and often. You can visit RightStufAnime.com every day for the new items added to the holiday season, as I'm sure there will be many more. Again, that's RightStufAnime.com. On with the show. This is the One Piece Podcast, episode 450 for Boxing Day, December 26th, 2016. My name is Zach.
And my name is Ed.
My name is Steve.
And my name is Alex.
And on today's show, we have very special guest, translator for One Piece in Weekly Shonen Jump, Stephen Paul. What are you doing on your Boxing Day, Stephen?
I'm sitting here in my brand new Obi-Wan Kenobi bathrobe, which is so comfortable. And I'm drinking coffee because we are recording this early. It's the perks of the holidays.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it's nice.
It is. It's. I wish we could do this every Monday, but alas, work.
Well, you could quit.
We also have Rick and Morty animation director Brian Newton. How's it going, Brian?
Hey, on my Boxing Day, I choose to reminisce about the Boxer Rebellion in China.
That has nothing to do with this holiday.
Oh, just reminisce about the song "The Boxer" by Simon and Garfunkel.
Well, that I could do. It's a good song. We also have YouTube sensation Roger Space is with us. Hey, Roger.
Hey, for this Boxing Day, I'm going to be training myself a Cabrawler. I'm going to try to get 6 IVs, and I'm going to evolve it into Crabominal, even though I hate that Pokemon.
Yeah, don't evolve it, that Crabominal.
Yeah, I might just keep it Crabrawler.
Yeah, you should. I'm not a huge fan of the evolution either. It's weird looking.
So this is the last One Piece podcast of the year, 2016, which I think objectively was a year that sucked. But for One Piece, a lot of cool things did happen. So we're going to be talking about our top moments of 2016 a little bit later on. We also have a manga recap for a chapter that people I hear have been talking about. It is chapter 850. We're going to be going through a little of that with everyone here. And by a little, I mean probably several hours. We hopefully will also have a double anime recap for you. If we don't, we're going to have a Zoe marathon when we return in January, which our first episode of the year will be January 9th because the manga will again be off next week along with all of Shonen Jump. So chapter 851 will be out January 9th when we come out. And
it's a good week to have a Zoe marathon.
It is a great week to have. I just started my Zoe marathon because I'm really far behind. I'm embarrassed to say how far I am.
I need to do the same. Yeah.
It's very good. I mean, I love just I love Zoe, so I'm enjoying it.
Some episodes are better than others. I've been going through it just about weekly. Some are better than others.
To give you an idea of how far behind, I just saw the literal Monkey D. Luffy, which I'm like 10 episodes behind, so I have a lot of catching up to do.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know how it happened. Life or something? It's very complicated. We do want to mention, since it's going to be coming up basically, I think, before the next podcast or just when the next podcast comes out, we are having a ton of One Piece Film Gold stuff going on, including meetups around the country. I'm going to go through some of the ones we have right now and ask those who are with me to tell me when they're going as well. I'm going to be at the one in New York. That's going to be on Tuesday, January 10th at 7 p.m. at the AMC Empire 25 in the Times Square region. So if you're brave enough to venture over there, we'll be having a meetup there. We're also going to be having a meetup in Chicago. That's going to be January 10th at 7 p.m. at the AMC River East Theater. Ed and Roger, you guys are going to be
That's right.
There. Yeah.
Absolutely. That'll be fun. I will also be at the Movie Co. Rosemont on Saturday the 14th because what kind of idiot would I be if I only saw this movie once?
You'd be the greatest kind of idiot.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which is also the worst.
Yeah, I'm not really sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
The Movie Co. theaters are pretty nice. That's where I saw the Godzilla Resurgence movie.
Now, Steve and Alex are going to be out on the East Coast. Where are you guys seeing the movie?
We're going to be seeing it at the E Street Cinema, Landmark E Street Cinema in Washington, D.C., January 10th at 7 p.m.
I like that cinema.
Well,
Yeah,
It's
we'll
nice.
have to make a Facebook event as well.
Yes, there will be a Facebook event for that one. That one is the only one as we record that doesn't have one, I think. What else? We have in LA we are going to have a meetup at the AMC Universal City Walk Cinemas on January 10th at 7 p.m. But you are going to something special, Brian. What are you going to?
Yes, they're also Funimation is throwing a red carpet premiere of film Gold. I forgot what day that is. It's before.
It's January 5th.
Yeah,
I know.
it's
The 5th.
The date burned into my mind.
I plead the 5th. Boom, 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 boom.
I'm so salty that I'm still in Chicago that week because I told
Yeah.
Justin I was planning my flights out from Chicago, to Chicago for Christmas, and I was like, please, if it's going to be earlier in December, like let me know. I will make a late flight out. I'll have an early flight back in January. Let me know. And then they couldn't secure the spot, and then by the time they did, it was too late. I already booked my flight out, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, same.
This is definitely the advantage I have for having family locally and being in charge of everyone's cats when they're out of town.
And not wanting to go to MagFest.
Hmm.
So Brian, you're going to be, and also the Universal City Walk.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of our crew there. Steven, you're going to be there
Yes,
as well,
Steven.
right?
I'll be there. I believe Jill
Jill.
is going to be there. Yeah, that one is 7:30
Dennis.
at. Dennis will be there on Tuesday, January 10th. Unfortunately, the whole red carpet thing, like I would have preferred to be at that one just because it's more of an event. But two events in LA since I'm coming from out of town, within the span of a week is a bit much to subject myself to for this. So Universal Studios, it will be if you want to hang out with the rest of us. But that is, I'm glad that somebody is going to be able to make from our crew is going to be able to make the big one.
We have
Festivus, rest of us.
Yes, although a little late for that. We have a few other really cool meetups too. Jose and Joey Weiser will be at the Atlanta meetup. That's going to be on January 14th. That's that Saturday at 1:30 p.m. At the Carmike Cinema Crossroads. We also have another meetup in Minneapolis. That's where Sam, our good anime recap host, is going to be. And Sam will be at the AMC Theaters Arbor Lakes in Minneapolis on January 10th on Tuesday. That Tuesday at 7 p.m. And I assume it will be very warm, as it often is in Minneapolis in January. But if you could brave the weather, definitely should meet up with Sam there. And last but not least, as of what we have at the moment, our Philadelphia/New Jersey meetup. That Kelly's going to be there January 14th. That's Saturday at 1:30 p.m. at the Carmike Ritz Center 16 in the Voorhees Township in New Jersey. If you are interested in starting your own meetup and you have a lot of people and want to start something, please let us know and we'll post an event for you. Otherwise, we plan on posting additional events, including the Washington, D.C. one, in the coming days and the coming weeks. So please keep an eye on our Facebook page at facebook.com/One Piece Podcast. Go to the events page there and see where you could watch One Piece Film Gold with a member of the One Piece Podcast. So we have a lot of show to get into and a lot of year to round off. Are you guys ready?
Woo!
Yep, let's do it.
Ready as I'll ever be.
On episode 450 of the One Piece Podcast, we have a manga recap for chapter 850, A Ray of Light. And normally we wouldn't be doing an extra episode this year, but it's a pretty big chapter. I think it's definitely worth a manga recap right after it comes out. And so, Ed, why don't you tell us what's going on the first page here?
So on the cover, we have a heavy smoking snake and smoker sitting in the smoking area. And it's a heavy smoker because it's a heavy snake. Get it? Even I
Yes.
got that one.
Oh, thank you. Somebody does. I tried to make it fit. I tried to come up with something that would squeeze the pun in there, but it didn't really work, so I just kind of went for alliteration and rhythm. Heavy smoking snake and smoker sitting in the smoking area.
Smoking.
The reason I remember that's the word for snake is because of that joke they did all the way back in Skypiea, where they did with the tone dial. But that's just the reason. But it didn't stand out to me until the second time I looked at it. But
Heavy smoking heavy. That's really funny.
Shout out to Michi Nakahara, who submitted this and not Noda Skywalker. So for the first time in a long time.
Hey, we're friends of
Yeah.
Noda Skywalker now. We all follow him, and he follows
Twitter.
us.
Oh,
yeah. So go Noda Skywalker.
The funny thing though is Michi Nakahara is a frequent SBS question submitter and maybe the header illustrations. I think I know that name from the SBS.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, does anyone have anything else they want to say
Not
Nope.
really.
about the cover?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
we'll probably get into it.
It's a pretty cover.
It is a
So-
pretty cover.
There's that one dude
Which one, dude?
to the right.
Looks like he has a top knot.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I saw that too.
It's probably one of the
There's a
other
man there.
podcasts.
Oh, it's a donkey.
Ed, why don't we start the chapter?
So exterior, sweet city. Whoa! It's actually it's Chopper. He's in the mirror. He's scaring cats and people with dentures. And a man with a top hat is, and they can't seem to find what they're looking for. And Carrot's peeping on hot ladies in the bath. Unfortunately, Chopper gets a guy with a massive Ivankov head and stubble. I think I know which one I'd rather get. But they're
Yeah,
just scaring
the
scaring
dude,
people
right?
all over
Yeah.
Sweet City, of course. But
The
we
way
see
his
them-
cleft is positioned, it almost looks like he's got a nice old pair himself. Okay, like I looked at that panel and for a second I was like, wait, what? Oh.
So back in the Miro world, they are they're baffled. Like maybe it's farther ahead. Wake Brule up. Maybe she knows. Where are the mirrors into the castle? We'll never find it if we have to look for it ourselves. So they ask Diesel, "Do you know where to go?" And he says, "You wish I did, damn it."
Said Diesel quite cross.
And Chopper continues that as long as we're touching Brule, we can come and go through the mirrors. You know, Luffy and Nami were going to the castle. Maybe they were able to meet up with Sanji. So we're supposed to be connected to all the mirrors on Whole Cake Island here. And we could get there in a blink if we just knew which one. And they're basically pounding on Brule at this point. Wake up!
It's
dang
the opposite problem as Dressrosa.
Yeah.
it. Right. But it's got this weird funnel mirror thing going. I love the Dali-esque mirror world. It's great.
It's
Mhm.
cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Oda's having a
Yeah.
lot of fun with that kind of stuff.
And again, I will reiterate what I said about the last time we saw this scene, which is that like I really don't care how the powers work as long as Oda does exactly what he's doing here and just has someone straight up tell you like what is supposed to happen and how it works. Okay, as long as we're touching Brule, we can go through the mirrors. All right, whatever, that works. So I like that. But we go on to the next page, and Sanji is broken out of a reverie as we pop into the scene, and he realizes that he just his instincts took over. He was on autopilot, and he just cooked up a lunch here fit for a big old pirate crew. We can see he's got the bento box, and he's got some of Luffy's meat on the bone. And it looks like is that a big takoyaki or something like that? Some sandwiches, a big fish, lots of food, which is clearly going to be way too much for little pudding. He admonishes himself, but he's like, whatever, I can eat the leftovers. So
Well,
he
I think,
starts-
Did he
Someone on-
do all the Straw Hat's favorite foods?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it
Yeah,
looks
the
like.
hamburgers, Frankie,
Yeah,
sandwiches for Robin. Yeah.
The raw meat, I
oh,
assume.
nice.
Tangerine and chocolate on the side for Chopper and Nami.
Mm.
Who eats
Yeah,
just
that's good.
fish? Like,
I think Usopp.
okay.
Like-
Yeah, actually, that
Usopp-
sounds right.
Dolphin-
Usopp likes
dolphins.
fish.
Catch of the day.
Luffy brushes his teeth with it.
That's true. Forgot about that.
And Dr. Fishbonin lives with it.
Hey, fish isn't meat. Stop lying.
So Sanji is packing up the picnic basket, and he is imagining the tender scene that will unfold where Pudding scolds him for cooking too much and hand feeds some juicy morsels to him. And so he's in love cook mood as he exits the room. fantasizing, and we have this weird guard guy again. I guess this is just Sanji's like personal servant, and he wonders what's going on. Sanji is going for a walk. He's got the roses. He's going to bask in his only ray of light remaining. That would be pudding. That's going to be great. Sanji, he really needs a break right now.
Yeah.
I'm glad for him.
Glad
we sure
he's
that's not one of the Amigo pirates?
Oh,
glad Sanji's having a pretty good 2016.
yeah, great. And we cut over to the prison library where Luffy and Nami are still crucified to the page here via Montandor's powers. And Luffy is raising all kind of hell, and Nami is not taking it well. Opera is just kind of sitting there on the couch watching them, and he's like, "Oh, you're wasting your time." And we can see that Luffy has, I don't know, kind of like a dog tied up on a leash. He has completely tangled himself many times around with his arms, trying to snap them off. Nami is like, "No, you're gonna rip them off at the wrist," and Luffy says that's the point, because there's no other way out of there. Like they can't. Clearly, these nails that are holding them tight do not, operate on normal, physical properties. So the only way they can get out. This is kind of similar to the candle trap in Little Garden. They just have to rip the limbs off and go on their way. It's kind of funny because the situation is played. I think Oda did a really great job with this, where like it's a very serious situation, and Luffy is doing this for very serious ways, but the way that he kind of is going about it is pretty slapstick, and Nami's reactions to it are as well. But we can move on to the next page.
And on the next page, Luffy is still desperate and, as Stephen pointed out, tied within himself many hundreds of times over, yelling, "Look, while we're sitting here, who's going to save us? We're losing everything. And then at the end of the day, Big Mom's still going to kill us." So Nami is like, so Luffy is like, "Fine, I'm going to solve this problem. Just stop bothering me." And Nami's like, "I don't want to sit here and watch you rip your arms off." And Luffy says to stop complaining and yells, "I am not going to die in a place like this." And Nami yells her mouth off, or whatever it is.
I was just going to mention, is this the panel they showed at Jump Festa about a week and a half ago?
Yeah, that was the one.
That's the one.
Yeah,
I think she's also yelling because Luffy's arms are starting to rip and squirt a little blood.
Yeah, I mean, we've all played with rubber bands, and we kind of know exactly what
They
this.
did that on the
looks
previous
like.
page too.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, it's like there's something cool about that, grim but cool, because it's like that's how rubber breaks too.
I think it's funny.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
this is the first time we've seen Luffy's like limit, right? His stretch limit.
Yeah.
It's sort of like watching someone blow up a balloon really huge. Like that's probably how Nami feels right now. She's just like, "Oh God, please don't!" The tension of wondering when it's going to snap. It's horrible.
How many Gomu
it's
Gomus
creepy.
is this?
At least 50.
And I do like the onomatopoeia as well. It says bullshit.
I was going to say the other question with this is how are they going to come back and get Luffy's arms to then lock and then reattach them next arc? So
Oh God. Okay, so we go to the third floor, the courtyard of the Whole Cake Chateau, and we're reintroduced. But I'm very happy to be reintroduced to these two characters. We got the former captain of the Nox Pirates, Pedro, and we learn his bounty. I believe this is the first time we get that. And it's 382 million berries, and he is going in with Electro zapping all the way toward Baron Tamago, a knight of the Big Mom Pirates. Of course, he's a knight. Doesn't surprise me at all. And his bounty, decently more at 429 million berries, and we all know that bounties completely equal strength, and that's why this battle is completely lopsided. No, it isn't at all.
He's not the knight.
Yeah,
he's the king-
Pedro
he's the
shouldn't
king
be
of-
able Yeah, Pedro shouldn't be able to defeat Baron Tamago with a lightsaber sword attack in a
Steve,
new
I'm
Super
sure
Saiyan
you're
form.
right.
Doesn't make no sense.
No, it doesn't. Super Saiyan 2, definitely. And
The moral of the story here is don't follow power levels.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a bad time.
So Pedro and Tamago clash, and we go to the next page, Brian.
Yeah, next page we got the rest of, I guess, Big Mom's kind of crew members in awe. As we see the recovery of the crash, and Pedro slips out from beneath the explosion, I guess spinning his tail like a helicopter and like floating, wafting around Baron Tamago.
Mhm.
And we see a quick flashback insert of a young Pedro and what seems to be Beppo, but not Beppo, named Zeppo. Yeah. and it reads, I guess this is Pedro talking. You're under Big Mom's pirates, Peckham's? And then we see Peckham's looking at Pedro and Zeppo. I was like, Pedro, Zeppo! And so I guess they had reunited after a point. We're not really sure when this is, but this has to be like
That's not the
maybe
answer
a
I
year
was
or two
looking
ago.
for.
Yeah,
We
we
do see a ship in the background, so that's
Oh yeah,
that's
Mhm.
interesting. I don't know what else beyond interesting that is, but there you go.
it's fascinating. And so we see a insert of Pedro and Baron Tamago back in the present, and Tamago goes, "I can't do this accent. I refuse."
Okay, I'll do it.
Yes,
Oh, you lose more than an hour this time.
thank you.
Oh, they're both saying it.
Oh,
Oh,
So
I didn't know that.
and
One.
do the other one
This
too.
time.
Oh, sorry. Do it one more
You
time.
lose
man.
more than an eye this time.
There you go.
Now, Zach, edit that together so they're speaking in unison.
It's like Chess Mario.
But maybe later.
Or go takes.
Better. And then Pedro now is doing a spinning move. It's really hard to tell exactly how he's fighting here, but it's impressive. And then they clash with their sword/cane, and then we cut back to the flashback of the wheel of the worst that Big Mom has.
the wheel of the worst.
So she's like, "You've done it now, you thieves. Your partner here spun the roulette wheel. The punishment? 100 years of life." Boom. And we see Zeppo's like lying on the ground while Pedro's held captive under Big Mom's guard. And then Pedro's crying over Zeppo, saying, "Talk to him." And then Big Mom continues, "Well, he only had 30 left to go. That means you owe me 70 years." And Pedro completely broken down that Zeppo is now dead because he had 30 years of his life taken from him. And I guess we figured out one aspect of this wheel that we haven't seen since Jinbei.
Yeah, Jinbei.
Yeah. Where is he?
Where's Jinbei?
Where's Jinbei? Okay, and so I'll cut back to the present with the battle between Baron and Pedro. Baron goes, "You cannot match." I'm trying it now. "You cannot match my superior reach." No, God damn it, that's not French.
That sounded more like Pedro than it did.
Yeah.
Well, you want me to do it again?
Yeah, please.
You cannot match my superior reach. On top of that, I'm wearing letats that block your electro power.
And so in this panel, Baron Tamago seems to be like spinning one leg like a giant wheel, and Pedro can't get any closer to him simply because of his the reach of his leg, his long legs. Which
I'm gonna
is
spin my
fucking
leg
brutal.
like this, and if you get hurt, it's your own fault.
That's basically what's happening there.
Yeah, it's so good. And then within that moment, we cut back to Pedro in a flashback, and this is, I guess, right after Zeppo's death. Peckham's. He says, "Grow, Mama, he's like a brother to me." And then go back to the flashback. He's like,
Ed
This is-
actually covered that bit.
Yeah, I did that bit. That was the whole.
No.
Let's
But
take a
right after that, it's who's talking here?
That's
Oh,
Big
Big
Mom.
Mom.
That's Big Mom.
Big Mom, yeah.
Okay. Big Mom goes, "Oh, don't cry, Peckhams. Fine, I'll knock 10 years off. But the price for taking Tamal's eye is heavy. 60 years, no less." And so Big Mom's not letting Pedro go no matter what.
I like Brian's acting. This is
50,000.
well, no, good effort. Coming from someone who also can't do accents. They were better than mine. Alex, pick us up from the next
Filled
page.
with that.
All right, so continuing the flashback, Pedro appears to have ripped his own eye out of his socket, saying, "How many years will this knock off? This death is meaningless. The day of the dawn of the world is nigh. I must return home." And I wish it showed the iris, because it just looks like it could be any spherical object, including an eye.
Bleeding from the eye socket.
Yeah, this is pretty violent. There's gonna be some.
Yeah, we're not going to be in like
limitations.
Gantz or Berserk territory here. It's One Piece.
Yeah.
Be satisfied.
Naruto had a lot of eye gouging shit.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Everyone wants a Sharingan.
I see. All right. Well, anyway, so just like Jabba the Hutt and the Bounty Hunter Boosh, Mama has reached a compromise with Pedro, saying, "I like this one. Fearless and inventive. 50 years it is." So, Big Mom tells him to enjoy his life, or rather, whatever remains of it, and we come back to the present.
The best part of the chapter.
Yeah.
Yes. So Tamago's attack from before connects with Pedro's fucking face and shoots him way across the room. And this is probably my favorite new attack name in years.
Oh, yeah.
Legs Benedict. This is the greatest
Amazing.
joke because I didn't even have to translate it. That was all Oda.
Yeah. Amazing.
So good.
Amazing pun. I love it.
Oda went out for brunch the last time he was on break.
Yeah.
What is this, Eggs Benedict? Oh, I have an idea.
So Pedro is completely knocked to the other side of the room, coughing up blood, and Tamago saunters over to him and says, "Answer moi, Pedro. Why have you come back here? Why return to the Isle of Nightmares, where your partner was murdered and you lost 50 years of life?" And Pedro just puts his sword into the ground, tries to just pick himself back up, saying, "The Straw Hat crew saved my homeland. I owe them my life. I am certain that they will one day guide the world to a new dawn. They shall surpass you all and change the world. So there's no better way to use the last remnants of my life than in their service. But don't get me wrong, I'm not dying here." As he gets up, Tamago readies his sword. But before he can do anything, Pedro uses his magnificent speed and says,
His tail.
he doesn't use his tail.
That's what it looks like to me.
He's moving so fast that the only thing you can see at that point is his tail.
It's like Hobbes from Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's exactly like that.
Yeah.
Except a jaguar, instead of a
He's a
tiger.
jaguar, not a
Yeah,
tiger.
yeah.
Remember?
It's like the Saiyans.
Okay, please go
Because
ahead,
they have
Alex.
tails.
They have tails
Jerry.
too.
Because they have tails.
Oh, Zach, I wonder if the moon is out.
Okay.
So he says they haven't fulfilled the reason for being here yet, and he does a super cool move that basically Pedro turns himself into a Ronco egg slicer, and slices Tamago in half with the greatest of ease, and there's a yolk. This is the
This
coolest
is both
thing.
brutal. Yeah, this is both brutal and hilarious. At the
Yeah,
same
I'm
time.
thinking, is the yolk like? Is it sort of like how Cracker had like a shell around him, and then the guy
The yolk
inside
is the
Cracker was
true
actually
power.
Cracker?
Damn it.
I'm wondering if the yolk is actually Tamago, and that the egg shell around him or whatever is like.
There's
It's
a lot of
actually-
weird. Yeah, like Big Mom's homies. There's a lot of weird stuff going on in Silent.
I was really
Maybe-
hoping no one was going to make any allusion to Cracker because I was just going to say it turns out it's just Cracker again. Like, hey everybody, it's me. I made a new suit. It's really cool. Oh, it's me again. You got to fight me.
Maybe Tamago has been a homie this whole time, but from an egg.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
I kind of
If
hope this
this,
was just done as a gag because it's super funny.
If
Yeah.
this was like the art film version of One Piece, it would be like you'd see Pedro slice through Tamago, and then like it would do a smash cut to like Sanji cracking an egg in a pan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
God.
I didn't even
This is-
notice that. Roger pointed that out to me before. I'm like, geez, that is.
Yeah, I honestly
ridiculous.
didn't notice the yolk till now either. But
Yeah.
this is your Baron Tamago on drugs.
I was gonna say, yeah. I was gonna say, this is your brain on Pedro.
Oh,
Well, I think we got a title.
It's the year-end episode. We got a special title, but
and it'll be much sadder because please continue.
Subtitle.
Brian, yeah.
Okay, so now we're cutting to another part of the castle before Pudding's room. Sanji's negotiating with the door, pleading, "Come on, let me in." And the door goes, "No, you brute! Lady Pudding is currently indisposed." And then cut to Sanji still continuing talking with this ridiculous door. I just want to give her something.
It looks like the wardrobe from Beauty and the Beast.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's been a recurring theme throughout
It's
this
gonna, like-
entire island.
It's gonna eat Sanji. He's gonna come out in a dress, and he's like, "Oh no, not again."
Sanji goes, "I just want to give her something." She's like, "No, you brute! Go away before I slam in your face."
You're already closed.
I know. I was confused by it. She's gonna open and slam just in front of him. Yeah.
Just to prove a point.
And then now Sanji's thinking to himself once he realizes he's not getting anywhere with this door. He thinks, I think there's a veranda outside Pudding's room, and he cuts around to the side. It's still raining. What is it? Syrup? Yeah, raining syrup. And he goes, "Aha! Here we go. I can hand it through the window." He sees Pudding's window, and he goes, continue to think to himself, maybe I shouldn't. It's kind of like peeping. And he starts to blush. But what am I talking about? We'll be husband and wife tomorrow. It's not going to be a crime if she's changing her naked.
Hearts.
Naked.
Nude.
No clothes on.
And then we cut to a very wide shot of Big Mom's castle as we hear splish splash as Sanji is walking all the way across this veranda into across to where Pudding's window is, really drawing out this tension here. And then we cut to the window and we hear laughing. And Sanji recognizes that laugh to be Pudding's laugh. He's like, good. She's in a good mood. She's laughing. And then he sees Pudding in the window. Is like, that's my sweet Pudding. And then the laugh changes slightly to a and then she's like, wait, she's talking to someone. Sanji, alerted, goes, wait, that's Reiju. What she's doing there? And then we see Pudding with her hands covering her face, still continuing to laugh, like, that's so funny. And then Sanji's like, wait, why is she horrified? Sanji goes,
Yeah, I was actually a little disappointed. I was hoping she would have like the typical Ojo-sama laugh of like, ho, 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 ho.
Yeah.
That's what I was kind of hoping for.
Roger.
With like the backhand to her mouth. Yeah. So we
The night is young.
Yeah.
So we finally get the big money shot, the big reveal that we've been waiting over a year for, and we
All
see
day.
that Pudding, in fact, does have 3 eyes. She's been covering her third eye with her bangs, and she goes, "You've got to be dreaming. Marry me? That stupid thug? Of course he's not going to marry me." And Pudding basically starts to explain that she is actually not who she was originally pretending to be. She is not good Pudding. She is, in fact, bad Pudding.
I
She
win
says-
the
She's been left
hashtag
out
for it.
overnight.
So she says, "I'm Mama's favorite, especially when it comes to my acting. And doing all those favors and bowing and scraping got so annoying. Still, it's so easy to fool men when Mama asks me to. Those Straw Hats never stood a chance." And then I want to clarify this one line. Thank you so much, Stephen, for sticking the material this week with translation. This was so good. There were arguments among the Scandinavian community. This is great. Only my family knows what I'm really like. And I know there were some people who earlier in the week, even though, by the way, hey, don't be tweeting out spoilers before the chapter's out. It's not cool. Don't do that. But people were saying that she said mama. That's not the case. She said only my family. And after that revelation, we cut to the prison library where we see Luffy is still trying to rip his arms off, and Nami's there, and it's sort of into the flashback where we see that Pudding was visiting them. And he says, "Damn it, I'll show that Pudding. I'll show that Pudding. She'll never get away with this." Obviously, Luffy referring to the fact that Pudding is evil based on what she whispered to them. And we finally see what Pudding whispered to Luffy. She says, "Listen close. If you want to know why we're not getting married, it's because that love-struck idiot will get riddled with bullets during the ceremony, courtesy of me. Oh, and by the way, you're not getting out of here alive either." And Luffy's face looks absolutely shocked. And we could also see under the bangs in this panel a third eye. And a little odd since we didn't see that in 848. So,
But we
Yeah.
didn't see this angle either. So.
No, yeah,
agree.
this is while she was
I
laying
know.
down. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Mhm.
But yeah.
So,
Do I hear the reigns of Castamere?
Steve, finish us off. We'll talk about this at the end.
So now we cut back to her with, her walking away with tears streaming down her face. And Luffy's like, "Wait, Pudding, what did you say?" And she says, "Goodbye, my helpless little rats." And Luffy's like, "She was just planning on ruining everything since the beginning. What does she have against Sanji anyway? That's messed up." Truth. And we cut back to, of course, Pudding's room, and she gives another laugh. She says, "You're so naive. Do you call yourselves an army of evil?" She's like, "Stick to the world of imagination, you inept clowns."
Comic book villains.
Yeah, you comic
Clown.
book villains. Clown! Then Pudding gets right in Reiju's face, and she says, "The only things Mama wants are an army of clone soldiers and your scientific power." And we cut out, and blupping is Nitro, who's acting as a pair of handcuffs over Reiju. And Reiju's like, "What a sweetheart you turned out to be." And she's like, "Ah, yes, I see. It's that sarcastic and uncooperative side of you that we don't need." As she takes a seat, she says, "The entirety of the German kingdom is currently moored with our borders. We wafted out the sweet, irresistible scent of a political marriage with Sanji, and you roaming flies took the bait just as Mama planned." She's like, "At tomorrow's wedding, as particularly the third eye is staring, the entire Vinsmoke family, rumble, lightning, thunder."
And a rope.
Yeah, he's gonna be the priest. Or he's gonna be the...
He marries.
He doesn't need a
good.
priest. He had 4 of them, and he's God. So,
Yeah,
It's good to be the god.
you could finish the sentence, though, Steve.
sure. The entire Vinsmoke family will be put to death as Sanji does the whole, when you turn your back to the wall and your back kind of slightly, slides down
In the rain.
Yep.
The syrup rain, which is the worst rain to have to sloop in. Anyway, that is chapter 850 of One Piece and ends our year in the One Piece manga, and the year of Sanji comes to a close forever. And
No more Sanji.
So I think before we talk about the chapter as a whole, we should probably talk a little bit about this revelation, and I should start with, I completely knew it the entire time, guys. I wasn't being hesitant about it.
Let's
No.
talk about the things
See,
that I was
I
right
called
about
this
first.
weeks ago.
Yeah, me and
This
Brian,
is
I think.
this is the benefit of playing devil's advocate, is that sometimes you win and then you get to lord it over everybody else.
Yes, this
That.
is it. Yes,
No,
exactly.
it's just
guys.
like, again, I never trusted until I saw that third eye. Now I'm like, now I know who this person really is. Because now
Yeah.
Sanji might have to kick a bit.
Well, to be fair, there were 3 things that were kind of leaning me onto that side a little bit. It was the Nitro thing, which I mentioned a while back. Just the fact that he was kind of not in the picture for a lot of this. We mentioned this when we first saw Pudding, but the fact that she only knew Sanji's like wanted poster kind of vague details was a little bit weird. And I think and the chapter
She mentioned that like he had black legs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, that,
he has
And
black
Pedro
legs
too.
but a
Like,
beautiful heart and
Yeah.
a twirly eyebrow. I mean, that's interesting. And hearts for eyes. But- so that, and also just, I think the chapter 848 faces we had with Luffy and Nami were particularly like, what the hell's going on here? But
Well,
yeah, no,
like-
I want
and
thoughts
also-
on
Yeah,
this.
when they
I
got
wanna-
to the Swindling Forest and just like they were set up from the get go, Pudding tried to explain why she couldn't meet him. She never had an explanation. She was just like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't meet them." Like, why?
Well, I thought that.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that chapter, the next chapter, you see her she's getting fitted for her wedding dress, and I think Brooke and Pedro make mention of that, like, oh wow, Pudding is indisposed, like. So I don't know.
Can't do anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I
See,
feel like
for
that was
me,
that was a good alibi. I thought.
Yeah. For me, this is. And I know we're not talking generally about the chapter. We're just talking about this revelation. I don't know if any of you are going to agree with me. I actually think this was like very heavily telegraphed, despite me not thinking that she was evil, because I thought that Oda would do something more interesting. I had faith, and I love Oda, obviously. We all love One Piece here. It's only a podcast. But I thought that he would keep her good, and because there were too many telegraphs in 848, and I think we mentioned this, even that episode where we covered 848, where she says goodbye to them, and her eye is totally covered by her bangs. And it was like she didn't have enough hair there to cover what would have been a full eye. You know what I mean? And it wasn't like it just disappeared and reappeared. It's clearly there because we see it in that new angle during this chapter.
Actually, this kind of brings up the thing people complain about with Sanji from the get-go, is the fact, like, you'd be able to see his other eye through his hair in real life, but not in cartoon manga world.
Guys, it's One Piece. There's
And to me, I just felt like, I don't know, I think the chapter itself was awesome, and I will talk about that at length later, but I kind of feel like this revelation makes 848 like a way worse chapter. Like, I think going back and reading that, now it's like there's no, especially because of that line I brought up where she mentions, only my family knows what I'm really like. Like, Opera knows her. Opera knows what Pudding is like. There's no reason other than to trick the reader for her to whisper to them that she's going to kill them. She could just straight up stay, because Opera's watching over her. Pudding's there. There's nobody else there.
It's a bad villain thing to talk about your plans. Like, that's how plans get broken up. Like,
I know. You guys, I think we're.
Yeah, I think
you're getting a little. We're not. Yeah, I think we're jumping too much here, because this is just like the first chapter we found this out. There's still a lot of unanswered questions, and in the long run, I think you guys might end up changing your mind about this, or about that in general, just because we don't know what the clear end game is yet. It looks to me like we have our villain finally of the arc, but we don't know anything else really. Is she in cahoots with Capone? There's
the
definitely
Nitro
more to
thing
this.
kind of makes
I'm glad you brought up.
And why?
Why does he have a fedora?
Yeah, I think there's something to that. I don't know, like, why is she talking to Reiju? Why is she even doing her Bond villain monologue to Reiju? Like, there's got to be a reason behind that. And I feel like Pudding isn't that dumb. I think she's, as far as villains go, she's pretty smart, and I want to give her the benefit of the doubt right now, saying that she's not dumb enough to just blab her plans to somebody who's going to ruin them. So there's got to be a reason that she also
blabbed her plans to Luffy and
Nami.
Nami.
I mean, maybe she's actually good and she's blabbing the plans to get them to disrupt them. Who knows?
I mean, a lot of villains
double secret 8-level wizard
Triple
chest.
agent, right? Yeah.
A lot of villains have the blabbing weakness. I mean, we had an episode. What is it? At the good villains talk to, or most villains talk to, don't know when to shut up.
Yeah,
something
that's right.
along those lines.
See, for me, it wasn't that, though. It wasn't that she was blabbing. Like, that didn't bother me. It was just that, like, 848 was clearly then to just trick the reader.
Well,
like, that there was, like, it made no sense why she was whispering.
No,
I
disagree. I mean, I'm looking at 848, which, by the way, was a great chapter beyond. There was
awesome
the book Soul King stuff. I just had to go back and make sure that crazy Pedro action with the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. What did we call him? The male version of that.
Bro White.
Yeah. But I mean, it looks suspicious, the whole thing. Like, we're not. I don't think you're supposed to kind of. I think be like, what is going on here? Just with Luffy and Nami's reaction at the very end, which I think we did as readers. But Oda doesn't want to necessarily telegraph she's evil. You should think she's evil right now. I think he's telegraphing kind of vagueness and ambiguity.
Which is why I think at the end of that chapter, again, we went around the horn and was like, okay, guys, what do you think? Pudding, evil or not evil?
He did a good job, I think, at tricking people, which I think is what's good.
Yeah, for sure.
Which also was pretty brilliant about how it sets up the beginning of this chapter, Luffy's desperate need to escape. because of what he just heard from 848.
Yeah, when I was initially reading this chapter, the stuff with Luffy, I'm like, okay, come on, take it down a notch. But then when you get to the reveal, you're like, oh shit, now I understand why he's reacting like he is. And I think it makes this chapter overall much better as a whole. Steven, you were going to say something. I don't want to.
Yeah. So, like when I first saw this this chapter, I mean, I think, we were primed from the very start. I mean, from having seen Pudding with the three eyes back in at the end of Fishman Island, and then not seeing that acknowledged throughout the whole of this arc so far. I think we were always primed to expect that we were waiting for another shoe to drop, that there was something going on with Pudding, and I was not at all necessarily disappointed in being fooled. I was like, okay, Oda, good on you. You got me. You strung me along long enough to actually make me think that it was the other way around. But my initial impression was that I thought he put his thumb on the scale a little too hard to fool you in the other direction with that, the previous scene with her.
Yeah.
Like with the crying and the way that he played it out. Now my opinion has softened somewhat. I don't want to talk about any future stuff, but I think if you are skeptical about this, that's good. But let's wait and see how else this plays out. I think Pudding it. This was something that I think he really needed to do with this arc. Like Pudding as a villain is 100 times better than Pudding as Rebecca 2.0 or Pudding as Shirahoshi
Fully
3.0.
Oh yeah,
Thank you.
I could agree with that for sure. Yeah.
Like it makes the arc so much more interesting and
put Sanji in such a different situation. I mean, when you have a character with his back against the wall like it is at this moment,
it makes him sympathize with his family. And let's just go back to me being right about something, was that they were
that's Ed's catchphrase, guys.
The Vince folks were way underestimating Big Mom, and I called them out for this 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yep.
When they were all sitting around together. I think when they were wondering where Reiju was in the first place.
And it really makes last week's chapter pay off at the very beginning when the Vince smokes were talking about betraying Big Mom, saying, "Oh, we'll just take Pudding; it'll be fine."
They were way
great
underestimating her.
Yeah.
I was right.
Steven,
about that.
go ahead. Yes, I know Ed. Steven, go ahead.
Yeah. So I guess let's see what else is there to say. Yeah, it is interesting. Now there's still some questions as to what is Reiju doing here. And I was initially confused here with like her condition. Like I wasn't sure if this was supposed to be, because we see her bloodied up, and obviously we assume that Pudding or Nitro or someone has in this kind of sinister turn was clearly the one who hurt her. But I wasn't sure if this was supposed to be before or after we saw her. Walking through the halls, stumbling through the halls, and I'm still not entirely positive about that. But that's an interesting element that we still have to see. What's going on here? Why is she wandering around to do this stuff? But yeah, I think it's a really great scene to come at this kind of from Sanji's perspective, because now I feel like this is the moment that we were kind of waiting for Sanji to possibly turn around. This is the catalyst that will eventually cause him to come to his senses, so to speak, or to realize that there's no there's nothing he can take shelter in with this the way that he was earlier, that okay, well, at least if I'm if I enjoy my life with Pudding, I can salve my conscience by knowing that it kept my crew safe or whatever.
And we knew that couldn't happen anyway, since even if she were good, the Vinsmokes were going to take them, and he'd have to be in that situation and torture his siblings.
it was a very naive assumption on his part, but that was the factor that was driving his actions, and that's that floor has been swept out from under him. So this is presumably the moment where Sanji is going to start to turn around, and so that is another, I think, really exciting aspect of this scene. Kind of similar to what we've been talking about, the Tamate box, and how that's going to be kind of like the fuse that lights off chaos in the wedding tomorrow, the tea party.
Also,
feel
Capone and Peckham's. That's like there's so many moving parts.
There's a lot of moving parts. Yeah.
I'm not
And
even
then
sure
how those
what
parts
side-
interact with each other, like with like you said, maybe like a connection between Nitro and Capone, and then like we don't really know who's working for who or what their full intentions are. Like,
And
this
Luffy-
makes
this
the
point-
wedding way more exciting.
And Luffy and Nami are going to have to get out of there at some point. I mean, this is both a literary
Well-
technique to keep them there, and also, I mean, it's also just interesting to see
Is
how
it
they're
just,
reacting to this
Zach? Is
situation.
it less annoying to you because he's not actually stuck in between things?
Well, he's stuck
actually-
in himself at the moment. No, I
Okay.
mean
Yeah.
it's not annoying to me. I have to make that determination at the end of the day, but right now I think it's actually presented a really interesting crossroads for Luffy, who's like stuck in a
becoming-
different way.
It's becoming
What's he going
clearer
to do?
and clearer now after the episode we did, I think like 6 or 7 weeks ago, when we first brought up the idea of like a red velvet wedding at the end of all of this. Like it seems like that's probably going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, it's going to be chaotic and it's going to be just grand.
Alex,
I
what
think-
were you gonna hear?
I think that Luffy and Nami getting out of there is going to depend on either Brook, who knows what happened to him with Big Mom,
Hmm.
or more likely Chopper and Carrot.
Yeah, I think
Probably
Chopper and
Chopper and
Carrot are probably the way that's going to happen.
Because
It's-
at this point, Sanji doesn't even know they're captured. He might think Luffy's.
No,
still
he
at that-
knows.
oh, there's
The eggplant guy last
Yeah.
chapter told him that
There's-
they've been captured and imprisoned.
There's one other thing
Okay.
I want to talk about with Pudding, and that is there a race of three-eyed people? Then is that where that's coming from, or are you thinking
Now that's-
something else?
Yeah.
Now that's the interesting thing. So I think I've mentioned this before on the podcast, and this was my reasoning, like way like a while back for pinning her as evil. And the only reason that I ever thought that, not because of any of her actions, honestly, anything that Oda wrote her as was just nothing but the most likable character in One Piece. The entire reason I thought she was evil was because of tropes. There's this great anime trope where if you have 3 eyes, you're evil. There's an anime about it, 3 by 3 eyes. Ten Shinhan, evil character in Dragon Ball. And the example that I like to use is Shiraku, who's a Tezuka character who has a demon inside of him that appears only when his third eye is open. So he spends most of his time, he's a little boy, he spends most of his time with a bandage on his third eye. But when it comes out, he's this evil little monster. And I just kept thinking about that whenever I thought about having a third eye, because she's too nice. And if that third eye is open, then maybe she is evil and has no recollection of what she does on the other side of the coin. But that was my only reasoning. Pudding to me always just seemed like a very likable character in the way Oda wrote her. So I think that he was extremely successful in tricking the shit out of everybody.
Also, she has like the opposite of the Vivi Ms. Wednesday thing, where
Mhm.
her look looks completely different when she's evil.
Yeah.
in kind of the opposite direction there.
I wonder
Yeah.
if she has like a like how some people are born with their twins still like a part of them.
Well, like
Someone
also to that point, I like to point out that we also Big Mom has so many children. I think one of the earlier speculations that 3-eyed girl we saw initially at Fishman Island, we weren't sure was Pudding, simply because we hadn't seen Pudding in color, and Big Mom had so many daughters. Many of them do look alike. That's like, oh, that maybe that's a daughter we hadn't seen yet for whatever reason.
I saw there was somebody on Twitter. Actually, a lot of people on Twitter. I shouldn't say just somebody, but a lot of people on Twitter were sort of theorizing, like, yeah, where that third eye could come from, and sort of similar to what you were just mentioning was maybe like because we've seen all this stuff about taking souls out of people and then putting them into homies, and we know that's a big rule about homies is that you can't put souls into people. Like that was explicitly mentioned very early on in this arc. Maybe the reason Pudding is like the favorite child of Mama is because maybe she's like the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
And then maybe some kind of like soul was infused into her to give her that third eye.
Like Big Mom's. I mean, like
maybe yeah.
I don't know. After this, it doesn't seem like she has a soul to me.
Oh.
Yeah,
Wait. What if that's the case? What if fucking goddamn it? What if Pudding's third eye is
Hey,
Pedro's
you sounded
eye?
like the translations this past week. Really?
No, Brian, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was just making a stupid point with saying that Pudding's third eye is Pedro's eye.
Anyway,
Poor Pedro.
I mean, I'm of the opinion that she's of a race of three-eyed people because that's kind of Big Mom's MO is the having children from completely different races. But maybe it's something more demonic or I don't know, psycho-spiritual or something. Anyway, so are there any other thoughts on the heel turn? I believe is the term.
Yeah, me, because
Swerve.
Steve, please.
I've been holding back. I was just waiting for my segment.
You're doing your own segment. Everyone, it's time for
Steve. Steve. Girl. Welcome to Steve the Steve, where we listen to Steve's opinions on things and forget about them. It was no secret. I mean, I admitted I thought we were going to have good pudding, but I said that there was going to be a catch. There was something wrong with her that we'd find out eventually, and I just thought like she was going to be good, but kind of had some sort of split personality. But turns out she's evil. Okay, it does kind of make things messy. And it's like, what was kind of the point of like the previous chapters other than, to trick the reader?
Steve, you just want to believe in the goodness of people.
No, I want to think of, if you're going to do a plot twist, go all the fuck out. I am really hoping, and I think this was Alex that kind of put this into my mind, but then again, last chapter, a fan wrote in like, what if Reiju was inside Capone? And I'm like, that's really cool. And now I'm really hoping that Capone is playing a bigger role in this than we all thought.
He absolutely is. There's no fucking way he's not.
You don't even know what his allegiance is. He's working with Big Mom, but he may be working against Big Mom.
Remember, he's one of the worst generation. So yeah.
Yeah.
And here's
sorry.
He's like deliberately taken out Peckham's twice now. And it can't just be for Big Mom. I think it's because Peckham's was, getting in the way of Capone's motives. Because this wedding has to happen. I would love to see this where, because we had all those little flashbacks to Lola leaving, saying that I'm gonna go out my own, find me my own man. What if Pudding has the hots for Capone and Capone has the hots for her, and they want to be a couple, but they want to be a power couple, so they want everybody take this clone army.
Capone's happily married with a child.
Yeah, I think we're done with Peace the Steve.
That could be a front.
All right.
Everyone's lying. Trust nobody.
That's my crazy idea I'll throw out there. I just really want to see Capone involved in this. I don't want to see Capone as a lackey. I think it's been a great...
I fully agree with that.
Yeah, I think you're going to be right about that. I just think your theory about that makes no sense.
It's an outlandish theory.
It's a slightly outlandish theory.
Yeah. You know what, though, Steve? I like it, and I'm going to make a YouTube video about it. I like it. I like where your head's going.
Weeks later, hey, you didn't credit me.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you didn't credit Steve for one week's podcast.
I think coming out of this, I really, because I think it's been such a great year. It's not only been the year of Sanji, but it's been the year of Capone, because he was a character I don't think anyone really liked. He didn't wear denim. He didn't wear denim, and he did not wear a shirt.
And he looks like Fred Flintstone.
He looks like Fred Flintstone, but
And he didn't flip anyone off. I mean,
Yeah. But no one liked him. But now I yabba dabba do. Capone. I love Capone. I love his design. I love his power. And there's not much to his personality yet. And
Why are we talking about Capone right now?
Yeah, that's been my favorite moments of the year. Get out of here. That's me.
But I think this is why and also I think Alex did this earlier on the podcast. It's too early to just make all of our assumptions. And Alex has been there for me when he told me to calm the fuck down and not take things so seriously on a week-to-week basis because it's part of a bigger story. So of course I'm gonna wait and see how this plays out. But I do know that we're getting ourselves we're getting ourselves a Game of Thrones wedding here. It's just going to be all out chaos. But now I wonder also where the tomato box comes in, because if Pudding is really like in it for herself, it'd be amazing. She's like, and I got the tomato box too. It's the best treasure ever. Ha ha ha. And
she opens it up and her face blows off.
It doesn't blow up on Big Mom or the Vin Smokes, just on Pudding. That'd be
now the box might actually help the Straw Hats.
Yeah.
I would love to see that where Pudding takes it, but this is me just making a lot of guesses on what little we have available right now. But I just want to throw that stuff out there.
I mean, I'll say I'm very much looking forward to where Sanji goes next. He's in a desperate situation, and I think that causes the most interesting of scenarios, like I said earlier, and also puts him at odds with the chivalrous aspects of his personality.
Right. Well, we DM'd about that. Yeah.
But another is Sanji gonna kick a woman? I really hope not.
Yeah, me neither. I never want Sanji to kick somebody.
Well, that would be kind of a taste in my mouth because it's not just she's a bad woman, so he has every right to now.
Hey, that's never stopped him before. He's never kicked bad women either. Like he got kicked in the nuts for it.
I'm actually fully on board with Sanji's chivalrousness in this aspect.
Well, Pudding wants to literally kill Sanji at the wedding, so I think that's an appropriate time to do something. I don't know.
But do you think Sanji will maintain like everything's okay until the wedding?
That's a good question. I mean, Sanji is the spy, and he could act as well. So I'm very curious to see how he handles the situation going forward. I want to talk about some of the other aspects of this chapter, which definitely should not be glossed over because this was a damn fine chapter. Anyone? I guess the Chopper Brulee Carrot story. Are there any other thoughts on where that's going? I guess besides rescuing Luffy potentially.
And that's pretty much where we're going. That was probably the least interesting part of the chapter.
Well, it was funny. It was a very good way to open it.
It's a nice little gag.
Mm-hmm. But then we should probably mention Pedro versus the Tamago scene, which I think was probably the highlight of the chapter, definitely beyond the Pudding reveal. Any thoughts on that? And the whole backstory with Pedro and Zeppo and...
Well, I'd like to discuss who Zeppo is. Is he Beppo's father or older brother?
So I'm thinking father, because he only had 30 more years left to go when she ripped the life out of him. And Beppo is pretty young, right? Beppo's only like 20 or something. Yeah. So I have a feeling like that'd be a pretty huge gap between them. I have a feeling that it's probably his dad. And with when we were first introduced to Pedro, remember he was like one of the guardians of the whale forest, and so was Beppo. And I'm assuming that like Peckham's and Zeppo were probably guardians of the whale forest as well. And so Beppo sort of like took on his father's mantle as one of the guardians after he passed away.
If anything, his father's death might have prompted him to go out to sea initially.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, as we've seen from Usopp's family story, when pirates have kids, they just name them after themselves, kind of.
True. Kind of.
It's a family name, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, something that occurred to me with Zeppo, I think we talked about how minks reproduce, sort of like it. We don't know if it's like fishmen, where it doesn't matter on what species they are. Beppo could have like a monkey for an uncle, and so I just really wanted to say
You
that.
saw that with Peckham's, right?
We don't know that. Like we actually didn't see Peckham's parents. He just spoke to a crowd of people. So I guess this might confirm that, like, oh yeah, well if there's a polar bear, then your father's a polar bear, or something like that. Because Zeppo is clearly a bear, right? And yeah, that's. I don't know. I thought that was an interesting thing to note.
Mm-hmm.
Any other Pedro Zeppo Tamago stuff?
I really liked with the Pedro. So I mean, obviously the showdown, the confrontation between those two characters was really awesome. It was a great follow up to Pedro being a badass in that other chapter. I loved all of that stuff, but I also specifically really liked the return of the Dawning of the World motif that we first saw in Zoe. They were mentioning that with Dogstorm and Cat Viper as the man who waits for the dawn of the world. And you at the time you could have taken that because there was such a strong half of the minks are awake during the day, half the wings are awake during the night, sort of thing, that you could have taken it as just playing in with that. But very clearly, no, it has to do with more with some sort of ancient mission, something or other, presumably
literally changing the world.
Right.
A romance done.
Yes.
And too, it goes along with the moon stuff too that you bring up. Whenever I know Zach, you're
thank
huge,
you, Roger.
I know, but you push it a lot. But with the stuff with the moon, how maybe the moon will set and then the sun will rise or something.
Ooh.
Right. So I love that. I love that he continues to use that motif to keep it fresh, because it really kind of primes us for something. It's like something to do with the Minx mission or their outlook on life. Will play into like some kind of historical.
What's interesting is that both the fishmen have this too, where these like very desperate races that aren't human have some like deep historical connection to how the world's supposed to be, and something that they're waiting for to carry forward in their like genes or their species. So I bet you when we get to Elbath with the giants, that might also be a huge key and link to all this too.
Well, yeah, that's a really great theory. Yeah, I like that, Brian. I think this was definitely the most exciting part of the chapter for me. In just, I've been a huge fan, and we'll talk about this a little more in our 2016 rundown, but I've been a huge fan of the Minx and Zoe and all that, and it's really cool to see that come to a head here. Also, Pedro is just an awesome fighter, and Tamago is as well, and so this is just I think Oda's been very dynamic in how he's shown this fight, and it's been very exciting, including the egg yolk.
One more thing about the flashback thing. It's very minor note, but I like we see kind of another inkling of Big Mom's personality. How she'll deal, like she'll wheel and deal with you. Yeah. She does the 100 years, but Peckham's intervenes. He begs for mercy for Pedro, and so she knocks it down 10 years, and then Pedro pulls out his eye, and so she knocks it down another 10 years, sort of thing, which is it's an interesting part of her personality that she kind of has. She doesn't necessarily create this law and stick to it, and that's the only thing that matters. She kind of has certain things that she wants, and she's willing to bend her own statements in order to get where her interest really lies and stuff like that. So I like that.
I think Big Mom has been an incredibly complex villain, and there's something very nice about that. We don't always have those.
Yeah.
So she's just been a lot of fun to watch, and she's very unpredictable, and that's certainly part of her personality. And I'm looking forward to seeing how she's going to fit in the rest of the arc. I think this chapter probably proves that the Vinsmokes are not the big bads of the arc necessarily, but I'm curious.
Which is shitty to think, because I don't want to sympathize with these characters.
Right, yeah. I still want to see Ichiji and Nietzsche get their faces kicked in.
Oh,
like,
yeah. That's another crazy thing about this chapter is you kind of start to feel just a teeny bit sorry for them.
But not that much.
No, not you. But now Sanji has this conflict.
Yeah.
That now like, because Sanji resents them, and that's an understatement. But now it's like, now they're being duped, and they're all going to be murdered.
Well,
and
Reiju in
he's like,
particular.
yeah, and he's
Yeah.
like, shit, do I have to save these people? It just adds another good dynamic to this whole situation here.
I mean, if you have two bad guys fighting each other, how do you fit into that? How do you care about either? Do you side
Let's not
with the enemy
forget
of my
I'll
enemy?
tell you how you get the hell out of there. That's how you leave.
Yeah, let's not forget
You
Big
escape
Mom's an
your
emperor.
ass. Yeah.
It does
You have
give Luffy and the remaining Straw Hats who are there the opportunity to do what they need to do and get the hell out of there while
Yep.
things are going down. That is true. But the question is, will Luffy really do that? I think it's a legitimate thing. So, but before we round off, we really haven't gone over the whole chapter. Is there anyone who didn't like this chapter or loved it beyond belief or had any extreme opinions about it one way or the other?
That
All I'll
was,
say,
Alex, go. Yeah, go for it.
yeah, all I'll say is that I thought this was a really fantastic chapter to end the year on, and I'm not even mad that there's a break.
Yeah,
think
I
it's a
agree
good
with that.
place for
Yeah,
that,
me neither.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's everyone's thoughts. Let's talk about the year 2016 right after this break. Today's episode is sponsored by Right Stuf, the Right Stuf holiday sale. I think it's still going on. I know the holidays are technically over, but there's still a lot of sales. So why don't we
Monday
talk
26th is the last day.
Monday the 26th? That's today. So
There's-
this episode will
there's
be
a-
out, so there'll still be some time.
It's actually good deals on Vinland Saga is 25% off right now.
Ooh, I've
All the
heard of that.
hardcover volumes are either
Pretty
Between-
good series.
$15 and $17, down from 23 or 20.
Also, I worked on that. I would recommend that you buy that.
All right, that way you
I
can do
didn't
more
know,
of it.
I didn't know you were on that, Steven.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, the 8th, I'm sure they're doing that sale because the 8th volume is just coming out this week.
Tomorrow,
And-
actually. I'm
yes.
looking at the thing right now.
I need to catch up.
Check that out.
And there's still a lot of sales. There's a best of sale for the end of the year, so some of the best of collections, which include Rama 1/2, if you haven't picked that one up. The manga, there's a lot of those out. And a lot more. Vinland Saga, we definitely here at the podcast would tell you to go pick up. And One Piece is also on sale. So pick that up as well. Any other recommendations from you guys out there?
I'm gonna be trying.
Yakutate Japan, guys, also.
Yes,
Yeah.
on DVD. That's a great release by Right
And
Stuf.
manga, yeah.
But there's also good deals on the Rurouni Kenshin Viz Big omnibuses with the high quality paper. So I'm gonna be trying to pick that up. Finish my collection.
Yu Yu Hakusho
Yeah.
and Rurouni Kenshin are also limited time offer, I think, for this week, unless they just haven't updated the banner. And Rurouni Kenshin, for those who don't know, Oda worked as an assistant on. So
That's
Yeah.
right.
yeah,
And as always, the fantastic packaging by the Right Stuf. They
You
will
love
send
that
your.
packaging.
It's great,
Can
and it'll get to you almost like 99% of the time undamaged. It's great.
Allow me to emphasize here because I get some One Piece DVDs from Amazon, and they just put them in, those little, slightly bubble wrapped, little
You've had damage with that
little
before,
packages,
haven't you?
and the spines are always creased, because they always get beat up a little bit. Right Stuf? Hell no. It might as well be arriving in an armored truck. That's
Guys.
how well these things are packaged.
I just saw this. This is available on rightstuff.com. It's only $4.79. One Piece playing
One Piece
cards.
playing cards.
And
Yes.
guess who
I
the,
have those.
guess who the Joker is?
Hody!
Hody Jones. Right. It's exactly what you all thought.
Hody jokes.
Wow.
So you can pick those up. It's literally under $5, so why the hell not? That's a cool thing. There's a lot more over at rightstuff.anime.com, so check that out. Also want to mention patreon.com/One Piece Podcast. We're going to have an exclusive episode out next week. We will also have some exclusive outtakes, which there are many from this episode. So you can listen to that this week as well. We definitely hope you subscribe before the end of the year. We're going to try and put some cool stuff out for you on our Patreon page. Again, patreon.com/One Piece Podcast. So with that, why don't we get on to the show? You guys ready?
Sure.
This is our top moments of 2016, the year that was, and boy, was it a year. So we're going to be talking about our top moments in the One Piece community, in the One Piece manga, in the One Piece world. They will all have to do with One Piece.
And our own One Piece stories, don't forget.
Yes, and our own One Piece stories. But before we talk about that, I want to just mention that it's been another great year on the website, onepiecepodcast.com, and our podcast. And we put out an article with our top stories, with our top editorials, and our top podcast episodes. So I just want to run down some of those so you guys could hear what you guys out there, for whatever reason, thought were the top stories of 2016, and also where the top listeners and readers came from. So, as far as news stories are concerned, our number 6 was the reveal of the One Piece film Gold White Casino and Beach Barbecue Straw Hat costumes.
Barbecue!
Number 5 were the reveal of episodes 730 through 733. Number 4, not surprisingly at all, was Eiichiro Oda revealing the time span for the One Piece manga, which again is extremely speculative, but it's always cool to see an indication of where he thinks it is. Number 3 was the One Piece film Gold character abilities revelation. Number 2 were 726 through 729 of the anime. Those are always very popular articles. And number 1, not surprisingly at all, is the One Piece film Gold first trailer release. What did you think it was going to be, Steve? I don't know. You sounded like you were expecting something.
Did I?
Okay.
All I said was barbecue.
He expected the barbecue to be the number 1 story. So the top 6 editorials that were published this year, I want to just mention that the top 2 editorials this year and last year were the One Piece Connection and the Why Scanlations Ruin Your One Piece Experience, which have still really doing very well. So please check out those articles if you haven't. But the ones published this year, Chow's spell the name with an R about Zoro's spelling in the Viz version. History in the Making by Chow, which is a good follow-up to the One Piece Connection, if you guys have not read that. It's a great article. Cody's review of One Piece Burning Blood, which, what do you guys think of that game? Have you? I don't think I've gotten the chance to play it yet.
I think it's
love
awesome.
it, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It fully encapsulates the One Piece fighting style in a video game.
And I think the DLC's been really good too. Lucci's been a really fun fighter, and they just released Garp and Caesar Clown as well. So if you've kind of been down for a while, you want to get back into it, now's the time.
Yeah, it's super good. Caesar and Garp are super fun to play as also. Caesar especially.
Tesoro's in it as well, and Tesoro's a lot of fun to play when he does his super move.
Yeah.
Which I guess I'll see in the movie when it comes out soon.
Yeah.
I'll have to play it at Alex's because I have not played the game.
Our editorial writer, Jason's The Luffy's They Are A-Changing, which is a really cool article about how Luffy has developed as a character, as well as many of the other Straw Hats. Definitely worth a read. That just came out a few weeks ago, so good for Jason. That's our number 3 editorial of the year. Pirate Couture, the One Piece Film Gold edition, got number 2. That Aaron, Jill, and Allison contributed to that. And Greg's review of One Piece Film Gold, not surprisingly, at our number 1 editorial. So, what you've all been waiting for, the top 6 podcasts of 2016, as downloaded and streamed and listened on various platforms. By the way, if you guys haven't, our YouTube extraordinaire, Cody, has redone our YouTube videos. You should definitely check those out. YouTube.com/One Piece Podcast. The most recent episode has the new look we have on there, so check that out. So, top 6. Episode 414, A Doll Called Wanda. Episode 411, The Wappening, at number 5. Number 4, episode 428, The Birth of Zoro.
Yes!
Episode number 3 is episode 400, Year of Spamg, which is, as we all know, Steve's new Gmail account. Number 2, episode 401, Who's the Gyats? And number 1, episode 417, Ms. President's Day. So
I worked really hard on that Photoshop.
you can check all those out on our various platforms, iTunes, SoundCloud, and so forth. And just before we get into the individual top moments, I know we have many people listening from very many different countries, so I want to shout out to those. Our top countries visiting the website are going backwards from 6 to 1: Indonesia, the Philippines, Canada, the United Kingdom, Germany, and guess what? Number 1 is the United States of America. And those listening to us, number 6, I can't believe it, but it is Sweden. Number 5, Australia. Number 4 is Germany. Number 3 is Canada. Number 2 is the UK. And number 1 is the United States. So thank you all for listening out there. And now we could get into the top moments of 2016. I hope I'm not putting him on the spot, but Alex, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. I'll do that. I will start with, I thought about doing a number 5, but I needed to add in a 6th one. So 6 it is. I guess my number 6 will be the Zoe anime has been amazing. Or at least the very start of it I thought was incredible. I thought it was the best the series has looked in years. So number 5 is the Ryunosuke scene in the anime. I thought that was super funny. Or I guess I could just say that in the manga as well. They both nailed it, I thought. I guess that happened last year in the manga, though, so it doesn't really count, yeah. Number 4, the Cat Viper song in the anime is an amazing sequence. It's super good. It's basically that kind of stuff that makes me still watch the anime. And unbeknownst to most people, because nobody else on the internet seems to be talking about this, that particular song was released prior. That recording was released prior to the episode coming out as part of the it was a character song compilation album that came out in July called was it One Piece Character Song Best Festival?
Yep.
And I've been trying to find that MP3, so I might end up just buying that whole fucking album just to get that stupid song. So
you'll have to listen to stuff like Weather Girls and Usopp Drop or.
Usopp Drop is fine. You shut your mouth.
Things I don't. Well, I never listen to character songs. They're just things I remember seeing back in 2006.
See character songs. I grew up with that stuff. It's nostalgic for me, and the fact that they're still making them is really awesome, I think. So number 3, or I guess number 4 on my list of One Piece moments is one from this past week. The Pudding is Evil reveal. That panel. Just about made me shit my pants. And it took me a couple hours to actually process it. Just like, whoa, shit. What are all the possibilities that could arise from this? So
yeah, it was a good
I thought that was yeah. Number 3, the road poneglyph revelation. I thought that was that in particular was a big ol' reveal. And at that point in the series, we finally got a handle on the end game of One Piece. That we're finally starting to ramp up to the end of the series, and this is how it is going to be in sight. This is how they're going to get to Raftel. I thought that was super super fucking interesting and an extreme highlight. Speaking of extreme highlights, this is probably my number 1 moment in the manga this year, which is my number 2 moment overall, which is Sanji's name, the revelation of his name. Didn't think that was coming at all. Didn't really see it coming. I think I speak for a lot of people when I say that it was a kind of a shock, that whole bit inside Capone. And my number 1 moment of 2016 is Matsuri Con. It was basically One Piece Con. We all got together and we all had a really awesome time. We got to hang out with the funny folks. Special thanks, of course, to Colleen for putting it all together, Colleen Klinkenbeard. And special extra thanks to all the other voice actors who, let us do our thing and just be us. And thanks to Matsuri Con itself for putting us up and really making it one of the best One Piece experiences I've ever had personally. So that's my One Piece 2016.
Thank you for sharing, Alex. Steven,
you're welcome.
Would you be up to
Sure.
sharing yours? Yeah.
Yeah, my top five. It's funny. My number five is something that I did not even get to take part in, which I very much regret. But number five for me was the Kabuki showing in L.A. Just because I think that the idea to to have this kind of mashup of One Piece and the Kabuki styling was such a fascinating and ingenious idea in Japan, I think. And I just would have never expected that there would be really any way for that to make its way to the United States in any way. It's such a particular art form, and it's something that is so very foreign to our sensibilities that you would just assume like there's no way that they will ever even bother to kind of acknowledge this. Even in the smallest bits, and sure, one showing one day in one city is maybe not it's not taken over America by storm. It's not Kabuki Mania, but I think that was a really cool event, and I hope that it does eventually expand into something more, because I would really like to see that for myself. I think that's a really cool idea, and I'm jealous of those who got to see it. Number four for me was the whole Luffy versus Cracker fight, which is kind of funny to say because normally just one fight for me is not like a major thing. It's not necessarily what I read One Piece for, but I loved it as just as a purely entertaining, a very true to One Piece confrontation, especially with the angle of Luffy actually just literally eating his Cracker's powers. It was so comical. It was both comical and kind of thrilling and visceral, the way that the whole fight turned out. And I remember being super impressed when Oda went there with that fight, and definitely turned around what was previously a pretty slow part of the arc. So I really enjoyed that. And things have just been crazy since then. So definitely a great moment in the Whole Cake Island arc. Number three for me was what we just discussed today, the turnaround with Pudding. He slipped it in just before the deadline, the end of the year. But this is like a huge, this is the turning point between 2016 and 2017. And it's, we can definitely, I think, probably look at this as like the halfway point in terms of the drama of Whole Cake Island. And we're heading into the exciting second half, I'm sure. In 2017, it was a great thing. Oda kept us, kind of in suspense about this development all year long. We were always wondering when that third eye was going to appear, and he managed to bring it out at the most dramatic of ways. And it was good stuff. You heard how much we had to talk about that today. We'll see how Pudding's character continues on in next year. Number two for me is Film Gold, and kind of specifically, even though it did not happen in 2016, is the fact that it is getting theatrical release around America, even if it's limited. I think that is super cool, and it's something that was pretty much unthinkable when you guys started this podcast, and even I think in the years of Film Z, I think it was still somewhat of a pipe dream. And in just the last 2 years or so, it seems like Funimation has really expanded that and made their movie properties kind of a bit of an event. And I'm super happy that Film Gold ended up getting that treatment, especially because we didn't know if it was going to happen. Like they were kind of quiet on news as the movie was coming out in Japan. And so it's super cool. I'm really looking forward to that. And my number one for 2016 was the revelation of the road poneglyphs. Because not that we necessarily learned so much about it, like a lot of the sort of poneglyph related things. He just kind of gave us a little taste of what it means. But in terms of the story itself, in terms of the overall roadmap of One Piece, this was like the very first moment, I think, where we kind of saw a path to the ending, a concrete path to the ending, and that was super exciting. It just floored me when I saw it in the manga the first time, and I knew that this was a major milestone, and kind of puts everything into perspective going forward. That sort of the number of adventures, our days on this journey are limited, even if there's still many to go. There's a structure in place to reach the climax of One Piece as a story, and this is the first inkling of it, and it was really exciting and kind of scary in a way, but oh boy, here we go, buckle up, and that's my top 5 for 2016.
Thank you, Steven. Ed, you want to take the next 5?
Sure.
Your 5.
My number 5 is Matsuri-Con this year. That was so fun. But I think everyone else has mentioned it so far, but just to have a convention devoted to, it was a pirate theme, but One Piece is the most prominent, pirate anime out there, and just to have that and have a con devoted to it, and then we get to be such a big part of it. That was a lot of fun for me, and getting to see everyone and have so much fun together and talk about One Piece, and get to see all the actors again. That was great. That was just a lot of fun. Number 4 is the dub generally, but also specifically the film gold dub. And as Steven said, they've been making the movies that Funimation has a much bigger deal recently, and the fact that as of going into next year, it'll be 10 years of Funimation dubbing One Piece, and they've gotten to the time skip. So that's like I don't know if we ever really thought we'd see this point. Like, it would 10 years of One Piece with a good dub, continuing to get released on DVD, and getting even closer to where One Piece is in Japan. So at this rate, maybe they'll catch up in a few years. But I'm loving the fact that it's still coming out this way. Number 3. My number 3 is the year of Sanji, generally, because Sanji, people have been taking a big crap on him for years at this point. Like, he's been having some bad character development, some bad character traits, just bad focus.
The opposite of development.
Yeah, when the focus is on him, it's been bad for a while. Yeah. And him getting his name, getting his family, getting all this focus, just when it first happened in Zou, when we first started to figure out what the year of Sanji actually was, that was such a good development for a character who it's been taking so much crap for so long. That having the focus on him, having such a good story around him, it's been a good. Oda doesn't forget about people. He doesn't forget about characters, especially major characters. But I've really been enjoying that. And number 2 is the resurgence of women in One Piece. There have been a lot of great women characters in the manga this year in particular. You get Big Mom, all of her daughters, especially Pudding, Carrot, and Wanda, and
Smoothie. How could you forget Smoothie?
One of Big Mom's daughters.
She hasn't done anything yet, to be fair.
Yeah.
She's awesome. She's got one of the highest bounties we've ever seen for any character, and it's amazing.
That's true.
That's a promise of future potential for her. Brule is also great, and Big Mom seems to focus more on her daughters than she does on her sons. Just by nature of, I think, just because she's a woman, she's probably closer to them. But women are very powerful in One Piece right now, and they don't necessarily need to be like we bag on Oda sometimes for only being able to draw attractive women a certain way, but he doesn't necessarily feel the need to, make a woman conventionally attractive. There's a wide range of body types and personalities that he goes out to and that he uses.
I reread Amazon Lily the other day, and which does not take very long, but he did do a very good job with it then as well. And I think he's doing a very good job of it now. So yeah, that's something that kind of slipped my mind. I like that.
We can still rag on Oda for all of his conventionally attractive women kind of looking alike, but
Except for evil pudding.
Yeah. That's right. But so that I've been encouraged by that, so I'd like to see more of it as we go along. Although I feel like with Wano, that's not necessarily going to be as prominent, which is the one thing that
who knows.
Yeah. But my number one is the end game of One Piece, and this sort of ties into how good the Zou anime has been as of late, the last few weeks, except for one episode. But just sort of the end game of One Piece, like we never had that sense of like where exactly the story was going, middle term and long term, and I think we have a really good idea of what that's going to be for the next few years, and just the continuing revelation of things about the world that we continue to see that. Just really enjoying like the final. What was the quest? No, the rope poneglyphs are the what quest? The end quest or something like that.
It's a video game term that I own.
Yeah, I don't know.
Game, of course.
Right. Well, yeah, but that's my number one thing of like that's really
quest.
moving. Right. That's the thing that I'm really looking forward to. That's the thing that's propelling my interest in One Piece more than anything else going forward. So I'm looking forward to it a lot. But that's my top 5 of One Piece this year.
Well said, Ed. Thank you, Roger. Would you like to take us through your top 5?
Sure. Yeah, I made it a top 6. I'm kind of cheating.
That's fine. No, it's 2016.
About,
there should be 6. Yeah,
I forgot about something that Steven brought up, which was the One Piece Cinema Kabuki event in Los Angeles. That was my number 6. I put that on there. I think that is amazing that finally got released in North America. That is something I was actually planning a trip to Japan to go see. So the fact that I didn't have to do that, the fact that I was able to watch it in the comfort of a theater 10 minutes away from my house was wonderful. Getting to see everybody in person, getting to take pictures and meet with fans. It was just a blast. Big shout out to the Japan Foundation of LA for putting that free screening together. It's just amazing how many people actually showed up to that. Just like seeing, I went to the 1:00 show, but there was a show earlier that I know Steve and Jill and a bunch of other, Brian, I think you went to. It was a bunch of people went. And it was so cool to sort of see like people rushing out of the theater and taking pictures and talking about One Piece. It's like, that's not something I expect from the mainstream, is that like a lot of people would be huge One Piece fans. So getting to see that in person was amazing. Cinema Kabuki's my number 6. Number 5 was actually one of the episodes that you didn't list earlier of the One Piece podcast, but it was an episode I was very happy to be a part of. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I thought we brought up some really good discussion in both the Piece Together section and also when we were breaking down the manga chapter, which was 848, I think, which was Goodbye. And that is episode 447 of the One Piece podcast, Solar Power. I just thought that was a really fun episode. And of course, I always enjoy when I'm on the show. It's a lot of fun. But that one in particular, I really had a lot of fun recording. I think there was some great discussion that came out of it. So that's my number 5.
Yeah. Nice having you on too.
Number 4 is actually the Reverie and Wano setup. So I fully anticipated that we would be getting into Wano Country in 2017, but that news article that talked about the One Piece editor saying, yep, we're entering Wano in 2017, and then again, to hear that reiterated at Jump Festa, them saying, yep, Reverie and Wano, they are going to be next year. Look forward to it. That excites me. That's not to say that I think Whole Cake has been a bad arc. In fact, I think it's been a very strong arc. And I think Zou was one of my favorite arcs of the entire series so far. I loved it. I think it's a really great sort of like contained adventure, and I've loved it, but I am thoroughly looking forward to Wano Country. I think that's something that Oda has really been looking forward to as well. I'm excited to see what all of his ideas are for it, and I'm super excited for the upcoming Reverie arc as well. It was really cool to sort of see a preview of that this year, where we see, Vivi and Kureha and all these characters coming together again, taking their trip to Reverie. And not only am I excited to see older characters come back, I'm also really excited to see what exactly Fujitora is going to be doing at the Reverie, considering he talked about how he wants to abolish the system of the Shichibukai. I have a feeling we're going to be seeing Green Bull, all these other characters introduced there. So, yeah, I really was excited by the news that we are entering.
We have a rule
Wano.
here, and you have to try and pronounce Green Bull's actual name, because that's just...
What is his actual name? I need to see it typed out.
Should I try it?
No, we'll try it, and then I'll try to pronounce it.
Or if you need to correct my awful pronunciation. Ryukyugyu? No, not at all?
Ryukyu.
Is it something like that?
Momosuke.
Yeah,
The correct
Ryokugu.
answer is Ryokugu.
Yay! All right, there you go.
I was
Cool.
not at all there.
Ryokugu.
Okay.
So my number three was One Piece Burning Blood. I loved that game. I like pretty much every One Piece game, but I really liked One Piece Burning Blood. And I think to show just how much I loved that game, that is the first game I think in years that I have platinumed on PSN. I don't normally get the chance to platinum games anymore just because I'm busy doing YouTube videos and then, of course, my day job and then coming on other shows and collaborating with people. That wasn't really something that I expected to do, but I loved Burning Blood so much that I platinumed it in like a week and a half. So I played I played a lot of that game. I'm really loving the DLC. My trio of characters I normally go with is Koala, Law, and Sabo. But recently Law was switched out for Tesoro, and I'm also really liking Lucci as well, and that might change the more I play with Garp and Caesar Clown. But yeah, I actually think Burning Blood is my favorite One Piece video game ever made now. I had a lot of fun with the fighting games that were on GameCube, and I also really enjoyed the Pirate Warriors games. I always think have been a lot of fun. But I play a lot of the Warriors Muso type of games because like Hyrule Warriors came out, and I'm used to that format. So to see a fighting game in the world of One Piece that feels like a One Piece game, and I know that's not really something that I feel like the games have done a good job of like really translating the way that characters move and their animations and stuff. But I feel like Burning Blood really nailed it. So that's my number three. Number two was a video that I actually recorded at YouTube Space this year in LA, and that was One Piece as read by non-One Piece readers, in which I took a couple other people who are part of the YouTube Next Up program, which is where YouTube basically pinpoints channels they see that are getting a lot of growth within the year, and they take them to LA to film something at the studio. And so it was me, one guy, Stanley, who is the owner of a family YouTube channel that's sort of on the rise, and then another girl, Anne, who has a beauty channel. And I made Stanley and Anne read the final moments of Whitebeard versus Blackbeard at Marineford. And they had no idea what was going on. I just gave them the script, and I was like, hey, let's just read through this and see if you guys can piece together what's happening. And it was a lot of fun. That video had a really high production value compared to a lot of other stuff. And this sort of ties in with another thing that I'm marking as number two, which I didn't want to like sort of have separate because it's a very personal thing, but that I hit 100K on YouTube. That was a massive moment for me, and sort of getting to spread the word about One Piece to a lot of sort of mainstream anime people who maybe never gave One Piece the chance. Maybe they were Naruto fans and they were just like, oh, what's this other Shonen Jump series? I'm going to give it a shot now. So hitting 100K and releasing that One Piece as read by non-One Piece readers video was a lot of fun, and I'm really proud of it. So that was my number two. And my number one, I'm sort of cheating here, was the One Piece manga this year. I feel like the One Piece.
A little bit.
I feel like the One Piece manga had so many amazing moments this year. I think Zoe was just a fantastic arc. I like a lot of the stuff leading into Whole Cake Island. I feel like it sort of slipped a little bit there with the stuff with Seducing Woods, but now I think it's back on track. And
Fully disagree.
well, fine, fair enough. But so what I'm going to do for my number one, is I'm just going to reiterate something that I recently did in a video, which was my top 5 chapters of 2016. And I'm just going to really quickly run down what those chapters were
Roger
for
gets 2 top 5.
so it's a top 5 within a top 5. But yeah, my number one is the One Piece manga.
Meta.
So number 5 was chapter 816, Dog versus Cat, which is the big Raizo is safe revelation.
Cool.
818, which is the road poneglyph reveal. I think the chapter is called Inside the Whale. That's, of course, where we find out about the road poneglyphs. We find out Odin traveled with Roger. It's a really great chapter. 826, 0 and 4, which is the first time we meet Reiju and Yonji. I think that came out of nowhere. I think everybody sort of expected Ichiji and Niji with the revelation that Sanji was the third son of the Vinsmoke family. So to see he has a sister named after Zero and a younger brother after 4, I think was just great. And both of their personalities, I loved that chapter. And I just love Reiju. I think Reiju's a really neat character. And moving into 2017, especially after this last chapter we just went over, I think Reiju's going to play a big part in the story moving forward. So that was my number 3. Number 2, Zunisha versus Jack. I think the chapter was called Understood, chapter 821. This is where we see that amazing panel of Zunisha sort of slamming down Jack into the water and realizing that maybe Jack isn't all he's been cracked up to be, and sort of having Momonosuke talk through the dragon and communicate with it in the voice of all things. fantastic chapter. And then my number one chapter of the year, and I guess technically my favorite moment of the year, chapter 844, Luffy versus Sanji. I think that was the only time this year in which I actually choked up and cried during reading a chapter in one of my live reactions. That moment where Luffy's lying there on the ground and says, I'm never going to eat again until I see your face. I'm never going to leave this spot. You're going to be the one who cooks for me. I need you in order to become Pirate King. I just thought that was a magnificent moment. And overall, it's been an amazing year for the One Piece manga. So those are my top 6.
I think I agree with your top 5 chapters, but I definitely would scramble the order a little differently. But I think all 5 of those are fantastic chapters. Brian, what are your top moments of 2016?
Yeah, I also had a default 6. It's really only personal to me. I only just thought about it. The Portrait of Pirate series has been really sucking this year, so I put that on top 6. So it allowed me to save some money for hopefully a better because I noticed that they have released some shots of Gear 4 Luffy is coming,
and also
it looks magnificent.
Dogstorm and Cat Viper. Those look great too. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're going to be pretty big figures, so I'm glad I was able to save money in 2016.
Have they announced a Jack yet, or no?
No,
I don't think
maybe
so.
when we get closer to Wano.
You'll be the first to know, Roger. When
oh yeah,
that happens.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's all your inbox, Roger, is just gonna be filled with people letting you know it's available. So you don't even have to bother looking.
I won't.
Yeah. Number 5 this year actually was something I was able to help contribute for the One Piece podcast is getting Wes Archer on the show. Wes Archer is like, if you know animation, Simpsons, anything about The Simpsons, Wes Archer's been involved with The Simpsons since the beginning. I had the good fortune to work with him on Rick and Morty, so the fact that I found out on season 2 that he watches One Piece with his son, and he's like a really big anime fan. But you wouldn't expect that simply because, you're a 40 to 50-year-old dude in animation. I doubt you even watch anime, let alone One Piece. And he's a big One Piece fan because
he's a big anime fan in general.
Yeah. I mean, I think we talked about in that one podcast episode that
which I'll mention that one podcast episode, by the way, is episode 423. My son is also named Gorp.
I think that one will come up during the top 5 episode titles.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. He mentioned that he and the legendary animator who created Aeon Flux, Peter Chung, were in an anime club when they were in college together before they start working together in animation. So that's part of what prompted his love in animation. Now both of those guys have gone on to do really amazing things in their career. And the fact that I got to talk to them and would know them about that is pretty significant for me. Number 4 on my list, I know Steve likes to claim that no one likes Capone and no one liked Capone prior to this year. But if there was a One Piece podcast during the Shabody arc, I would have written in to say, fucking Capone's always been my boy. Specifically when he stood off against those Marines and they kind of revealed that his fruit kind of had something to do with being a living castle man or fort man. The implication that he can hold his entire crew inside his body is just the wackiest thing to me. And those are actually my favorite devil fruit powers. So Capone being like a Batman style, 1940s mobster. He looks like Fred Flintstone. I always found him the more interesting design of the original 11 Supernovas, simply because he wasn't a young man. He wasn't necessarily a beefcake. He's just like an odd duck in the middle of these crew of eccentric pirate types. Number 3 on my list is the One Piece Kabuki show. That Roger, Steve, Jill, and who else was there? I think Dennis was there as well. Mm-hmm. We all got the experience there in LA, and that was a really fun time. That Jill and I got the 10 o'clock show, and it was such a good experience to watch it that when Steve and the others showed up, we were like, let's do this a second time, back to back. And it wasn't even hard to do because there's so much information going on in that show. And it's covering Shabody through the end of the war, which is information we're already pretty familiar with. But the presentation of the Kabuki versus the live acting performances from these veteran Kabuki actors in this big stage show was such a unique experience that I at the time we did that podcast following that, I highly recommend it to everyone. And that it is, if you're a One Piece fan, there's no way you should not see this movie. It's not like the Star Wars Halloween special where you want to torture yourself. It's like you will have a good time. You will be smiling just to see how like all your favorite bits from those arcs get reinterpreted on a live stage. And I thought that was like really wonderful. Number 2 on my list is Matsuri-kan. I know Ed, Alex, and yeah, I think you guys are the only one who's mentioned it so far. But it was really fun to hang out with everybody, you guys specifically, and to like talk about One Piece and basically have like 4 days where we're just being enveloped in anime and One Piece specifically. And I think that week also had my favorite episode that I was on, which is I think Master Cracker and the Homies.
That chapter. Yeah.
Yeah, we all were in the hotel, so we're just like alive. It was kind of like a live podcast record, which we don't do so often.
No, those are always some of the most fun to record. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, and I'm really lucky. I'm really glad I got to participate in that one. Also, Master Cracker is just 2 on the nose for me. And then my number 1 favorite moment of this year is the chapter Cat versus Dog. The Zoark was really fun, but I did not see that coming. Usually I'm pretty good and I have like theories about what's going on in the world, like this week with Pudding, I pretty much called weeks ago. But the implication that the entire mink tribe was hiding Raizo and they let their country be destroyed by Jack on a lie just to protect the Kazuki clan.
Yeah,
I
think that's right.
I pronounced it right. The fact that they were so honor bound and so duty driven that the second Kinemon showed up and revealed who he was, there's that one panel where Cat Viper and Dogstorm are bowing, and the Straw Hats, every single Straw Hat there is just like wigging out, like, you guys knew the whole time. I don't often cry or get really emotional during the comics, but when there's big reveals like that, and I remember like 550 during Ace's a Roger's Son, I read it at work, so I like stood up and like was like in tears. I went to find somebody who was also reading to talk to, and sometimes it's not always available, so I just like had to hold it in when I first read that chapter. It's a really good experience this year, and I can't wait to see what the wedding at Whole Cake Island and Wano has for us going forward. So those are my top 5, 6.
Thank you, Brian. Steve, what did you think? What were your moments?
Well, I think it's going to be a lot of similarities, but I also did some honorable mentions. I didn't do a top 6, but I have like a top 5 honorable mentions. That would be just the Vin Smokes in general, just their reveal, going back to the wedding invitation to their Sentai gimmick. It's been very entertaining, a very unique look for their next batch of villains. The Zoark anime has actually been really good. I gotta say, it's been pretty damn good. Hopefully that continues. Film Gold, I felt like I should mention Film Gold, but I almost didn't even want to, because besides, it been released and reading, some of our staff's reviews, I really don't know anything about it. And I think Film Gold's going to be more of a 2017 experience for me than a 2016. And maybe this will make Zach happy. I wanted to throw out a mention to the episode Literary Robinitis.
Thank you.
That was my favorite manga chapter of the year. And also, after a long time coming, we finally got to talk with wrestler ACH, and we had him on for the show and did something we've never done before, and had someone who hadn't read the chapter nor it was caught up with the latest arc, just live reacting to the manga recap as we were going along.
And actually, I've got tickets to see him wrestling at All American Wrestling this Friday, so I'm gonna go say hi.
And he was in Reseda.
Just yell out the latest manga chapter to him while he's wrestling. Ed. Yeah.
Well, if he's going for his finishing move and he needs help, you just raise your arms high in the sky, give him your power, lend him your power. Yeah, he was in Reseda, and I didn't know till the night he was there, and I missed out on seeing him. That was unfortunate. But all right, on to my top 5. I'll try to keep this as brief as I can. My number 5 is Jack himself.
Hey, Roger, you got someone here. You got someone.
I think those manga chapters were a ton of fun to recap, and I think one of the most iconic things looking back on it was just Jack. He was honestly, he's not even that deep of a villain, but he's just this shonen powerhouse that we haven't gotten in so long, and it was just it was completely satisfying. And of course, I love my pachyderms, so the fact that he turns into a big mammoth was another plus. But great design, great, and I think we were able to point out some of the bits that I don't think necessarily other people translate, like the eyes. Do you remember his eyes? It was just, for the longest time, he never talked. It was just close up of his eyes.
If you go to our podcast episodes from then and look in the description, you could see I screen grabbed every single eye shot of Jack. There are a lot. I'll put it that way.
He was a really fun character to talk about on a weekly basis. And even his quote demise came as a nice little surprise, and I'm looking forward to seeing him return after this arc, and I'm sure he will.
Wait, Steve, real quick. I got to know, what's your shirt size? Because I'm straight up ordering you a Mammoth Boys shirt right now to give you in person when I get back to LA.
I take a men's XL.
Excellent. All right. I'm ordering. You think I'm kidding? I'm not, man. I'm on Redbubble right now.
I don't think he thinks you're kidding.
I'll take a t-shirt. Number 4. This is definitely a unique one. I don't think anyone else had this in their top 5. It was me being able to return to the One Piece English dub this past year. Not to be too self-indulgent, but
we haven't had a chance to talk about it on the podcast. Do you want to mention what we did?
Yeah, for those that weren't aware, when back in June, I was in the Dallas area, and I got to go in and do a little bit more background voices, very similar to what we did in OPP Dallas. And yes, I even got to voice the Satan worshiper once again. But yeah, I was mostly just doing some background voices, one-off lines, but I got a chance to read for a named character, and I wound up just being picked as the voice, and that was Dr. Fishbone, as you may have known, because we had an episode named after him back in 2010.
Yeah,
right.
Like that,
Manga, I think that anime episode came out or something.
If you're a Patreon subscriber, you could listen to that one. I think it's season 2 or 3. 2, I think.
But it's still kind of unfathomable that now I'm listed as a named character. And I wasn't even sure if he was even important enough to even be named in the credits. I thought I was still going to be listed under additional voices, but nah. So yeah, I'm a One Piece character. But it was a really cool experience.
Still waiting on that guy who really likes Dellinger.
Yeah, I gotta make sure to let them know. But like I said, I thank Joel for the opportunity and for giving me a shot, and I hope people like it. I know I could be critical of my own performance, but I hope people dug it for the few lines I got to speak. Number 3, this is no surprise to anyone, but it's the Kabuki play. Probably because I think Steven said this earlier, did not see this coming to the States at all, ever. I mean, it was hard enough trying to get actual One Piece animated films here, but any instance of this airing over here, I thought no chance in hell. But there was a chance in hell, and we got that chance in hell. But it was an amazing show. We talked about it on the podcast. I was really blown away, and I was really surprised by how much I really liked it. I think because it was a different interpretation of what we already knew. So I don't know if some people might get angry when things get changed. Me, I was kind of looking forward to seeing what things would be changed and how they would cover it. And it was just overall like an amazing experience. It was amazing to see like a theater filled with One Piece fans and people that didn't even know One Piece, but they knew Kabuki and they wanted to see something Kabuki no matter what. So that was a great day. My number 2 got to be Matsuri-kan. The One Piece Con. I think from day one when we started doing conventions, we started doing panels. I think we always kind of wish that we could get something going on that kind of scale. And I don't even think that kind of scale, but the fact that we were so heavily involved with all the happenings that weekend in terms of the One Piece stuff, Funimation's panels, our panels, the fact that they got mostly all the Straw Hats there was crazy. I never thought you'd be able to do that, and it was just a great experience for us all. It was a lot of camaraderie between us at this point, so it was another good weekend of hanging out, and it was the debut of Alex's new web series that he's only had one episode of, and that's him eating One Piece themed snacks.
Oh no, we have some upcoming episodes of that. I'll announce that here. They just need to be edited together, but check out our YouTube channel for more of that coming soon.
Looking forward to that. But that was, and I think as the resident dub fan of this podcast, it was really great for me as well. And Ed mentioned it. We're coming up on 10 years of the Funimation English dub.
I was just reminded of it because I was looking at this poster I have up in my recording studio of One Piece, Desert Princess and the Pirates in select theaters, February 2008.
Oh my god!
Which I got at Katsucon, I believe, in 2007. So
I was there with you at that. I had not yet seen One Piece. Oh no,
that's right.
No, that must have been.
No, it was 2007.
Then.
It was 2007 because it was my junior year of college.
Maybe I was just starting to watch it then because that's when I watched One Piece. Was 07.
Maybe it was Anime USA. It was one of those two goes.
Yeah. Okay.
I was a freshman in college. Oh boy, wow! But yeah, Matsuri-con was it was a blast. It was, and now because of that con, I'll never pronounce. What's that city in Alabasta?
Alubarna.
Alubarna. I'll never be able to pronounce it the same way ever again.
Oh. Oh god.
And what if it was Arnold Schwarzenegger? Could you pronounce it if it was him?
What's your number one, Steve?
And my number one One Piece moment of the year was the entire Zoe arc plot twist. It was from the moment that the Minks revealed that there was ties to the Kizuki clan, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that they were hiding Raizo this entire time, it was just such a well executed plot twist because you were convinced that they had no idea who this Raizo was, what was going on, because they endured so much pain and suffering. And then for it just be like, yeah, of course we knew him. And so, of course he's here. And from that point, it led to the reveal of the poneglyphs and, of course, more information on Raftel. That was a crazy couple weeks, but I remember that moment, the end of that manga chapter of all them sitting, and bowing towards Kinemon was very emotional. I definitely felt something reading that manga chapter. But then when that anime episode aired this year, I got a little tears in my eyes.
I need to catch up.
It got me a little bit, and I was surprised because stuff like the Rocinante stuff didn't get me to that level. And
that's because they didn't play the Sound of Silence during that, which we explicitly asked for, and yet no.
But this was it was such a great performance in the anime. I remember Usopp's actor too really played a great part of the straight man of just saying like you knew the whole time and all that. It was such a well executed scene, and it goes back to me saying the Zoark anime has been great, but I think this one moment is just like the most memorable moment in the One Piece manga for me this year. And the fact that it really got me emotional watching the anime, I had to put as my number one. I think it was the best thing the One Piece story did this year, bar none.
So I guess I'm the only one left here. Should I go through mine?
Yep.
So
no.
Okay, fine. Let's put down. So I put a couple of things that you guys didn't talk about. I just want to give some honorable mentions, which includes one of those. The guests on the One Piece podcast, we kind of talked about that. Wes Archer that was amazing. Brian, really thank you for getting him on. And ECH was a ton of fun. So Steve, I want to thank you for getting him on. Roger and Brian, you guys have also been guests. Steven has been our very special guest. I like the podcast consistently this year. I have enjoyed recording, I think, every single episode tremendously, and I've been happy with everyone we've had on, just like to such a consistent basis that I feel like we haven't had in the past. So I just want to mention that.
And Minovsky we had on for the first time this
Minovsky,
year.
of course. Yeah,
Yes.
Casey.
And Joey.
And Joey, of course. There's a lot of guests we've had on, and I'm if I start listing them, I'm going to forget all of them. So I just want to mention that. We touched on it a bit, but the Jump Festa news that Roger mentioned, I think, was just really cool. All of the news that came out of that's more of the stuff to look forward to in 2017. So I'll just say that was cool. And also just getting like Oda's written message and being able to clear things up with Steven last week was a lot of fun and very interesting. And we didn't mention this because it doesn't really have to do with us, but it's really good news that simultaneous Weekly Shonen Jump is available now in Singapore, the Philippines, and India. And I think it's a really big step in bringing those simultaneous chapters to a lot more regions around the world. And I think that brings the total to 10 at the moment, including what we had been calling the Anglosphere. Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, UK, Canada, US, other countries I'm forgetting. So that was a ton of, and that's like a really good news. That's a good piece of news, sorry. So my number 6, and no one mentioned this, but I really love the hell out of this, are the homies. I think every time I see a homie, I am happy.
Hanging with the homies.
Hanging with the homies.
Homies over hoes.
It goes from King Baum and everything Steven did with him, and the food and that Vinsmoke meal that we recently had. I forget what chapter that was. I didn't love.
Man, green tea, black tea.
I mean, that even happened in the last chapter. I think. The green tea, black tea.
Yeah. That comes from the chapter from our episode Robinitis. It's like I was gonna put that. I was gonna put that chapter, and I realized like, oh, that whole episode's great. But so many good bits for the manga recap.
And I didn't love that chapter so much, but that was one of my favorite moments. And yeah, it's just made doing the podcast a ton of fun. The homies. So of the Whole Cake Island stuff, that's definitely one of the highlights, if not the highlight. But number 5 for me, and we talked about this a little bit, is Sanji's backstory. I was very skeptical going in, and I think it was very enjoyable. I think maybe even a bit underrated, if anything. I think it really will make us sympathize with Sanji going forward, and has so far in this hopeless desperation, this quiet desperation that he's in. And it was just a lot of fun to read. And little Sanji's adventures were a nice little insight there. So that's my number 5. My number 4, we talked about the Kabuki, but the One Piece Film Gold worldwide release as well, I think is a big piece of news, and I think has just shown the worldwide appeal of One Piece. And really that whole push we've gotten for gold has just been so cool to see. It's kind of the mainstreamification of One Piece, which we're fine with here on the podcast, even if One Piece hipsters may have a problem with it. So I've been a huge fan of that, and just to see the rollout here in the United States, and I imagine in the many, many, many other countries it is showing or has shown. It's just been fantastic. And the red carpet premiere in Dubai, I think it was, and having just such a fanfare around it has been really cool. And the same goes with the Kabuki, and working with the folks over at the Japan Foundation in LA was just so cool. And that kind of worldwide phenomenon, kind of One Piece thing, has just been really cool to witness this year especially. My number 3, I think this has definitely been mentioned a lot, but I'm going to do a little bit of a twist on it. And that's specifically the characters and the setting in Zou, the Minx and Zunaisha are my number 3. I love the hell out of the Minx, and maybe it's just the Zootopia thing going on and all the furrydom of 2016, but I love all of the main characters a lot. Pedro's been great. Carot's been great on the kind of as part of the quasi crew. And Cat Viper and Dogstorm, we've talked about it with the cat versus dog stuff, have just been great. And as a fellow Pachyderm fan, Steve, I'm a huge fan of Zunatia as well. And seeing him beat the $1 billion Pachyderm himself, Jack, was just this really, really cool scene, as Roger mentioned. And so it was just really cool to see that and to be in that world. It's just, after Dressrosa, that was just such a, I don't want to say relief, but definitely such a great change of pace. And I think the anime, from what I've seen so far, has been doing a really great job. I have a lot of catching up to do, so I'm sure I will amend that to saying has been doing a really great job. My number 2, we've talked about this pretty extensively, is Matsuri-kan. Having a One Piece convention and getting to work so closely with Colleen and all of the voice actors at Funimation, who are all extremely awesome. If you haven't had a chance to listen to last week's episode with the entire cast, please do. It was a ton of fun to watch and be a part of that. Really an honor to be a part of that. And we got some great episodes out of it. We have our Arcs of Consequence Live. We have the One Piece Cast Tells All, which was on last week. We have our One Piece podcast panel. We did a One Piece 101 panel, which is still upcoming. We did a lot. It was a lot of work. Plus, we also recorded our live podcast, as we talked about, with Cracker and his homies, and that was a lot of fun as well. But my number 1 has to be the moon, and by that I mean the discovery of the road poneglyphs and the end game of One Piece. And Steven and Ed, I think, really put this well.
Oh yeah,
this is the thing that's moving us forward, not just next year, not just this year, not just in the next 5 years, but probably for the next 20 to 50 years of One Piece going forward. Yeah, Roger, we're going to be doing this until we're old.
Hey, man, I'm fine. That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine with me, too. This was just such a big moment in the series. I think the cat versus dog was the big moment of the arc, but I think certainly the Road Poneglyph information and how to find Raftel and the stuff about Odin and Wano as well are just setting the big picture story up in such a grand way that you can't help but be really excited to see what's to come. And I agree with that. It's the thing that's driving me forward. And we saw it in this week's chapter with the dawn of the new world, the dawn of the new age. I forget exactly what Pedro called it. And also just with Brooke and the Road Poneglyph at Big Mom. And this is something that will be very present in the story going forward, and I am super excited to see that. So I could talk about that forever, but I will not. You can check out the One Piece Connection if you'd like to see me talk about it forever, which I hope to update with some of that information relatively soon. But it's an annual tradition that we go through some of our favorite episodes of the One Piece podcast that we were on or that we listened to, and more importantly, some of the episode titles. So is there anyone who'd like to say some of their favorites of the year?
Oh, I'll go.
No, go for it, Ed.
These are in no particular order except for my top one. I'll keep it to 5, so other people have some options. First, Moscato, Minister of Gelato.
Oh, great.
That was
title,
like 2 months worth of gags after that. Loved that.
That's true.
Bill Fudge, the science judge, which still makes me laugh.
I still don't get it. I don't know.
As we mentioned before, my son is also named Gorp. Again, great images for all of these, except for maybe the Minister of Gelato one. I think it was just a picture of him. But the Birth of Zorro, which was much like the artwork of Maud Lepowski, it was highly vaginal. And my number 1, Execute Germa 66. Best image, best episode title, best everything.
Yeah. That actually gets my vote for my favorite title of the year too.
Best
that
image.
was just calling for it.
But yeah, that's those are my 5.
Any other? I didn't rank these specifically, so it's.
Well,
fine
when you
if
go
it's just-
first, you don't want to have too many honorable mentions. Let other people.
Yeah.
I like Big Mima.
There was I totally forgot that we do this too, but I want to make this call back to just a standalone piece together episode we had back in February and it was called "Shave Those Sideburns." Maybe because that had the live reaction of Zach and I watching that One Piece. What was it? Was it CrossFit or something? Razor,
X-Fit Gillette razor or something. Like
yeah,
that?
and that was fun. Let me go through these. Chef Boyardee. Because I did the episode pitch for that too, and it was like 2 weeks of photoshopping for me. Actually, now that I think about it, like usually it's like, it's been a great year for episode titles. It's been a great year for absurd episode pictures.
Yes,
We had a lot of those this year.
We've had some good titles this year too, though.
Like Vape Smoke Sanji.
Oh God, that was a good one.
Yeah, it was.
4 Kids versus Sanji is another one that deserves.
That's such a clever title. I am.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
That's definitely one of my favorites. Yeah.
And I went out of my way to open up a 4 Kids DVD just so I could screen cap a good picture of Sanji with a lollipop in his
dedication,
mouth.
folks.
Jackie Treason is one I really like.
You and like 2 other people love that title.
I thought it was great.
One of them is me.
But I think other than that, I think all the other ones have been they've been given the nod. Though Vince Smoke Diesel was a good one.
Yeah, I was gonna say that one deserves a special credit because we didn't actually make the actual joke until after recording, and we loved it so much that we had to go ahead and make it the title.
I wasn't on that one, so I'm like, wait, where did the joke come from? I never heard it.
We did talk about Vin Diesel.
You did, and I'm like, when is it happening? When is it happening? Are there any others, Stephen, Brian?
I mean, the best one obviously is Translatosaurus on Tyrannosaurus.
Oh, of course, yeah. That was a very popular episode, and it is a very good episode because we talked about Color Walk 7 in Volume 82. Any others?
I want to mention the episode image for everything is Carrot, the South Park one.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Jack needs braces too.
Gonna mention Mitch. Just Mitch.
Thank you.
Oh yeah,
thank you. I love that title. That's one of my favorite. If you don't know, you have to listen to that one.
I liked Miss President's Day because of the discussion that came out of where we were talking about like how people getting assigned Baroque Works names because of what their birthday was. It was just a lot of fun.
It's an episode title that really improves in retrospect.
Oh God. Sure. Brian or Roger, did you have?
Yeah.
Okay. You already said Mitch.
I mentioned. I think I mentioned solar power earlier too.
You did.
I really enjoyed that episode. So yeah.
I have to say, I think my favorite episode of the year was definitely X Marks the Spot, the one talking about my number one moment. Yeah, like just as a episode, it was a really like dense episode. I think Greg was on and Aaron was on, and it was a lot of fun. That would be one of my higher recommended ones, certainly from earlier in the year. Mitch probably is one of my favorite episode titles, and the picture with just that random guy from Dressrosa is fantastic.
Random guy, that's Mitch.
That's Mitch. I'm sorry. God. Oh my God. Champions of Family Double Dare should not be glossed over.
That's another good one.
Definitely should not be glossed over. That one's really good. Wait, there were a few that I saw that we did not talk about. Buy Me a Choco Burger or Go to Hell. Great one as well, I think.
Great episode image too.
Great episode image. I'm very happy someone mentioned Moscato Minister of Gelato because that is an essential episode.
And I always like things coming full circle on this show. Got to give a nod to Rockstar is in this podcast.
Got to give her and don't normalize Weevil, which as a title, just very prescient.
And I have to say, episode image for Pan Fiction, you should have gone with the looter image. I'm just saying.
Well, no.
The one with with bread in his mouth.
But we've had some of the best discussions this year over some of these chapters, and the Zoe material. And the what?
We have the best words.
We had the best words, yeah.
We do. We just do.
We do. And Zoe was just a lot of fun to talk about. So if you'd like to go back and listen to some episodes, I definitely suggest the ones from earlier this year. And all the Matsuri-Con episodes were definitely a lot of fun. But I think that's going to conclude us. Is there anything you guys want to talk about in regards to 2017 and what you hope to see next year? I mean, besides
Film gold.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess just the for next year is all the stuff that we've had kind of laid out for us. According to Oda's comments, I think the Reverie especially, like I'm really excited to see how he resolves the quandary that we're in now in Whole Cake Island, but like the knowledge that not only is he going to just kind of barrel us through all of this drama, but then to get the Reverie, which is, I mean, if Fishman Island was a hyped up arc, and if Wano has been a hyped up arc, Reverie is like that's the version of that for all of the in between arc material, which is often some of the most exciting and fascinating stuff. So that, I guess, if there was one particular thing, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm right alongside you. I think I've always been a fan of like the talkie chapters where it's just like a lot of information gets revealed about like the overall story. And I feel like Reverie's been built up so much, and I don't know what he's going to do with it, whether or not it's just going to be like a meanwhile at the Reverie for one chapter, or whether or not it's going to be built out like a sort of maybe mini arc, like 10 chapters long or something. But I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing a mini arc of the Reverie with Vivi sort of as the main character we follow, or maybe Fujitora or something like that. I think there's so much that we could find out about the overall world, and so many different directions that story could go. Maybe the revolutionaries show up at some point. I cannot wait for the Reverie. That's probably my number one most excited thing that I'm looking forward to in 2017.
And I'm curious how it's going to be structured, because I'm of the opinion that I don't think it's going to be like a arc as we would think of an arc. But I don't know how long it's going to take, what it's going to be about, what characters. We know some of the characters that are going to be there, but how they're going to interact, I think, is a very interesting
My
concept.
main thing about it that I really want is I got to see the revolutionary show up, so we can get.
I was literally about to say that
between Sabo and Stelly. We need to see Sabo and Stelly.
I mean, not only that, but the revolutionaries are kind of MIA at the moment, and I think this is just like the perfect use for them at this moment. But Oda's the one who judges that, so I'm not going to say anything about that. Any other thoughts on?
Well, next year is going to be the Wano arc for sure, and I'm really, really hoping Zoro finds the second Gatatsu sword in Wano.
It's the year of Zoro.
The year of Zoro.
Year of Zoro.
But also, like, finally we're getting to Wano, which we know is a big deal for Oda because it's going to have the most like Japanese influences in the entire probably One Piece series. And I also think, considering everything that's gone down this year with Big Mom and Whole Cake Island, that I think people theorized this before, but now I'm starting to get behind it, that the Great War that Kaido spoke of might be between Big Mom and Kaido, and the Straw Hats just stuck in the middle of it. And, well, obviously they'll pull through, but it's going to be catastrophic if you think about those two forces going at one another.
This is going to be a very interesting year, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think there's a lot of good stuff that could pop up. Okay, why don't we do some piece together, you guys ready?
Sure.
Woo!
Yep.
This is the Piece Together segment where we take your questions, comments, and theories and tell you how awful they are because they're terrible. Why don't we get into some emails? Yuletide greetings, One Piece podcast. With the recent chapter 850, he's got a few theories, so let's hear a few of these and see what we think. First, that the Vinsmokes are not the main antagonists. We've talked about this a little bit. Do you guys agree or disagree?
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I mentioned this in the last few weeks, but the balancing of the Vinsmokes and Big Mom as to like who is the greater threat or who is the greater evil, I think that was deliberate. But with this, I think Revelation, I feel like that is no longer a question. Maybe.
Number 2, Pudding is the main antagonist of this arc. Yes or no?
No.
No, it's still Big Mom.
Yes.
Ooh.
I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah, I kind of think yes too.
Well,
At this
Steven
point.
said yes. I mean, at this point, it's yes.
Well, I would only concede that if Pudding didn't make very clear that she's doing this for Big Mom.
Yeah, that's true too. If she's doing it on Big Mom's behalf, then Big Mom is the one who is the antagonist, even if Pudding's the one who carries it out. And third, Pudding's defeat, if she is the main antagonist, must be better than some knockout like Luffy or Sanji have done in the past, because A, she is a girl, and B, she doesn't look like a fighter, which, I don't know, that might be a little sexist, I don't know. So what if she steals the Tamate box from her mother and opens it herself? Oda is no stranger to twists like this, especially with the Pudding reveal, and it's perfect irony since ever since Fishman Island, we all assumed Big Mom would be the one to open it.
Pudding's going to have a nitro suit.
Well, this is similar to what I said in the manga recap, where I thought she takes the Tamate box. So I totally support this.
So that was all from Eric. Thank you for those theories. Let's go to Blair, who said, now that Pudding has shown her third eye, do you think that Oda will think of a way to redeem her? I was rooting for her, and I feel betrayed by her actions, and much rather would see a negative end happen to her over a redemption storyline.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about that. I mean, he has not like immediately turned it around, but just thinking of how quickly Viola was like, "Oh, help me, Sanji," when they first met, and then immediately goes to evil, and then Sanji immediately sees through it. No, she's good again. I would not like that to happen.
That made me mad then too. So I'm hoping Pudding stays a piece of shit because she's more interesting this
So
way.
she's definitely going to act like she's not for a little while, but she will.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not saying she needs to like die, but I'm just like, it's One Piece.
I still I hold to the fact that I really want to see Sanji just kick her face in. Like, I think we talked about this on DM, Zach, but as soon as I read this, I'm like, all right, if Pudding is actually bad, if Sanji was ever going to kick a woman and actually fight with a woman, this is the time to do it. Because he has nothing left. His one last ray of hope, which was Pudding, is now gone. He has nothing
I think if he does physically assault her now, it just feels way too petty. It's just like, you broke my heart, so I'm going to beat you. It's like, no, I don't want to see that.
No, I see it in self-defense. She's about to shoot him.
I wouldn't even think it's in self-defense for him. I think it would be something like when he finds out the chief threatened to kill the other Straw Hats. Then when he's like, no, you know what? I'm going to stand up for Luffy. I'm going to stand up for Nami. I'm going to stand up for the crew. Because that's just, Or Zeph, if Zeph ends up playing a role in any of this.
I don't think.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Zeph. Yeah. Completely forgot about Zeph.
Anyway, so we got one more question from Liam Tasker on our email, and that is, at the Reverie, do you think we'll see Wapol versus VV2? This time Wapol gets walloped. I don't see a physical fight, but I mean, we'd all enjoy that if it happened.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, why don't we go to Reddit? Steven, what do we have on Reddit this week?
Okay, we will start with Scred62, who says, poor Sanji, not exactly how I thought his year would end. With the big Pudding reveal, does this mean Big Mom and her crew are the real villains of the arc? I'm still not sure this is going to be a traditional go in and beat the enemy captain arc. So do you guys think this is all going a different way somehow? Does Big Mom have a change of hearts? Do the Vince Smokes have a counter plan? Or, my favorite, is Pudding just acting alone? I'm just not sure I see Luffy ending this arc by punching an older woman in the face in front of her children.
That's kind of simplifying it, but
yeah, how does this fit into the the suggestion, the possibility that it does not end with Luffy beating Big Mom or whatever?
I definitely see this.
I never thought that was the case. I always thought they were going to escape during the wedding. Yeah,
I always see this, and I see this arc being a very different structural arc at the end, no matter what. I'm still not quite sure how that's going to be, but I'd like to see something different from what we would expect.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's already introduced these very high bounties that Luffy took out one of them. We still don't know Big Mom's bounty. Not to say bounties are power levels, but she's an emperor pirate.
I think it's safe to assume
it can't end this arc.
Yeah, it's safe to assume that her number is extremely high, just because wanted level means how much the government would want her to be dead or captured alive, and I'm sure it's
the
high.
term wanted level.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What? Water level? What?
Haunted level.
Anyway, yeah, I like the idea that Pudding is acting alone, but I highly doubt it. I think she's acting on Mom's behalf. What's next, Stephen?
Let's see. I'm going to kind of combine these questions here. Lil Kyle and Monster both had Christmas-related questions. I kind of like this take on it. What budget / bulk gifts would each of these Straw Hats give to each other? With an example, like Frankie would just give cola bottles with little bow ties for his crewmates.
Luffy would give meat, but he would eat all the meat, and then he'd just get bones.
Robin would draw portraits of each one.
Oh God.
I think Chopper would give everybody gummy vitamins. That's what I think he would give everybody. It'd be Chopper's gift.
Nami would be the queen of budget
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Very budget.
presents.
Here's a tangerine I picked from my garden.
Extra tangerines.
I think Sanji would probably just like give people their favorite dish because he's thoughtful that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Nami would like make something, because that's the best way to give something without spending money.
Zoro, yeah, that guy.
He wouldn't get
Liquor.
anyone anything.
He'd give everyone liquor. Yeah.
Because he'd want it all for himself.
That's true.
I think maybe
Zoro's not getting anybody.
maybe you'd try like giving them some nice like wood carvings, but they all look pretty
Bad.
chopped.
Yeah, he'd get him like he would be trying to get to a nice place with a really thoughtful gift, and then he just winds up at some like interstate gas station and so, oh look, I got you guys some like novelty license plates,
Air fresheners.
I can see.
Oh no, I know
Here's the
what.
gift from Usopp is like, oh no, it's still in the mail. I swear, believe me.
Or Zoro would give those Shaw Buddy souvenirs like literally from 2 years ago. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I had this.
I think Jinbei would show up and give everybody IOUs too. I think that'd be like, yeah, I'll be back in a little bit. I'll bring you gifts next year.
Usopp would actually be the best gift giver. I think he'd actually
Oh,
put
yeah.
a lot of. He'd make them all, and he'd put a lot of time into it.
And they'd all do some stupid party trick in it. Anyway, what's next, Stephen?
Let's see. None Easy asked about, do you think Sanji's going to kick Pudding or another woman to close this arc? I think we kind of discussed that.
Just some
already.
random woman.
That seems odd. A little bit.
Why I oughta.
Oh man, he's taking this really hard.
Dang, zoom straight to the moon. Look at that.
Yeah,
Ah.
that one's for Zach.
Fierce Alchemist wants to know, clearly Big Mom doesn't kill all of the families her kids marry. Why is she doing it with the Vinsmokes? Is it because she knows they plan to betray her?
That's a really good question. I think it's maybe
Well,
because all she needs is the army. Like
They
she
kinda
doesn't
set
need
up
them.
Yeah, they kind of set up with Pound that she doesn't really care about the family itself, but her children and what she gets out of them.
Mm-hmm. I guess the other follow up to that is: are we certain that Big Mom that is Big Mom's plan
And not Pudding's plan.
and not just Pudding's plan?
Good question there too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually here. Let's just continue on to Orange Blue. 11 Orange Blue, who says, with the recent reveal, we get some answers with Pudding, but everything about Capone is in the dark. Do you think the massacring Vinsmokes part Pudding mentioned is just Pudding and Capone's plan, with possibly with Capone convincing / manipulating Pudding that everything is for the sake of the Big Mom pirates? She does say we, but whether it meant Big Mom or Capone is left ambiguous. What do you think?
So you mean like kind of Godfather style? This is the day of my daughter's wedding.
A little bit. I think
yeah.
I like the idea that Pudding would be doing this with Capone, even though the idea of them being in love with each other makes no sense.
No, Capudding. I mean, Capudding. That's their-
Capudding, there's their ship
that's
name right there.
yeah, that's the-
Kapow, Capudding.
Damn it! The one episode where we go in with an episode title, and it's always the ones that come up with some
Big.
great ones.
Yeah. Capone is already married to Chiffon, so it seems a little far-fetched that there would be like some kind of, I guess, sentimental connection between him and Pudding, but I mean, it does seem like if there are any rogue elements of this arc, that he and Pudding kind of seem like they are the ones that stick out at this moment.
Yeah. Well, like here's why I'm not buying the Capone Pudding alliance situation. Mainly because, like, remember like Vito and how he was like ranting about how awesome the Vinsmoke's on. It kind of feels like that crew's like on the Vinsmoke side, or should be. That's maybe just how I interpret that.
I thought of that, and I just like, he's a villain. He could have been like, "Hey, they were really cool when I read the comic." Oh well, and just shoots them.
Yeah, maybe. And like Siobhan and Pudding, they have a close relationship, if not just through Lola, because Pudding was talking about Lola earlier. So
I like the idea I like the idea that there's more to Capone than meets the eye. But we'll find out if that's the case. Roger,
I definitely think that Capone is going to play a big role in it. I mean, going back to what you were talking about, Godfather style type stuff, maybe what might happen is like, setting everything up at the wedding, all the Big Mom characters, all the children or whatever, they're going to the chapel. And I'm thinking maybe sort of similar like the baptism scene in The Godfather, where like the baptism's happening, but then they're executing all the other members of the families.
Yeah.
Maybe something similar to like, everyone's on their way to the wedding. Meanwhile, Capone is like shooting all the other Vinsmokes or all the other like guests of the Vinsmokes or whatever on their way to the wedding.
To be fair, there is a wedding and a mafioso theme in this arc at the same time. We need some Godfather references.
We got some Godfather, the Game of Thrones. It's all coming together.
It needs to happen. What's next?
I think this is going to be a very nice wedding.
It's going to be calm. It's going to be nice.
Yeah. All the signs are there.
This is my special day.
So I really like this comment. Books is cool says, just throwing it out there.
What? I love when people change their screen names to jokes we've made on the show.
Aren't you concerned someone hacked your email, Steve?
No.
Just throwing it out there, pudding can be made with potato starch, aka katakuri. Still haven't gotten that Oda box.
Oh shit! You know what? I thought that too.
I love that. That is fantastic.
That's actually one of the Twitter questions, is that this pudding might be an imposter. So
I actually did during my live reaction this week. I said that would be one of the ways I would find this to be acceptable. If she's evil, if she is actually Katakuri. I hope that's the case, man. I really do.
Yeah, me too.
It would explain like why Big Mom. Yeah, why Big Mom seems to be, from the flashback scenes that we saw and stuff, like, oh, you're my little doll and everything, like why she seems to have a show favor to Pudding if she's actually like one of her really important.
I love that. I love that.
I love that.
So maybe Pudding's not her actual name, but it's Katakuri.
Right, that's
or that's her full name.
The Oda box.
Maybe it's Pudding Katakuri.
Yeah, well, Pudding would be her nickname, but her real name would be Katakuri Charlotte. Or
it could be her first name.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess that would be the reverse then, Katakuri Pudding. But anyway, what's next?
All right, we'll go on to Crumping Toes, who has some questions. I'm a relatively new listener, and this is my first time writing in. Big fan. Look forward to the podcast every week. About this chapter, I don't know about you guys, but I thought that this twist felt very forced and makes previous chapters no longer make sense.
Preach?
Yeah, so let's go through these. Here we go. Why did Pudding talk about prior engagements when she was getting fitted for her wedding dress if she was never planning to meet up with them? Why did she whisper to Luffy and Nami if her family knows she's evil? Why would she be thinking about how Lola ran away if she has no intentions of disobeying Big Mom? If Big Mom's plan was to kill the Vinsmokes before the wedding, why would Pudding kidnap her the night before and make the Vinsmokes suspicious? This makes me think that Pudding either isn't really evil or she's actually playing Big Mom for her own personal gain. Either way, things may be more complicated than they originally appeared. And I will say a lot of these questions are things that I wondered myself when I first saw this. So I think it's a good thing to ask these questions.
Mm-hmm. The whole her whispering in Luffy and Nami's ears just because she's a dick.
Yeah, I think she's just a dick is the answer to a lot of these. Also, so Oda could trick you. Is an answer to a lot of these.
That's probably the primary reason.
Yeah, it's I mean, if you ask this in an SBS, Oda would probably say something along those lines. Well, I felt like it.
I mean, there's definitely something to be said for, like, the reason that a villain gives a villain monologue to explain their whole plan is because the readers need to know what it is. If nobody explains it, then, you're just left, trying to figure it out through all these, various clues and things. And sure, that might be satisfying if you figure it out, but not everybody is going to. So, it's kind of a necessary evil in certain cases.
I get it.
Someone brought up too, like in that first scene where Pedro's gonna kill Pudding, and Nami's like, wait, she's probably scared of her mom too. Maybe that might be like one of the reasons that she's going through with all of this, is that maybe she sees that wedding as the opportunity to overthrow her mother and become like the new big mom.
Yeah, I was rereading that recently. It's like Pedro had the right idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. He wanted to tie her up. All right, I guess we'll move on to Prince of Assassins. Who says, "Hey guys, I read your One Piece story arc data binge column."
Should I say what that is? Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I've been obsessed with spreadsheets as of late. For those who don't know, so Erin actually helped me with this, since she's also somewhat obsessed with them. And we put a chart that shows every single story, how long it's been, and several other pie graphs and other things that go along with it, kind of to just show how long it takes Oda to tell a story. So from there, Stephen, please continue.
So in that same vein, while browsing Oro Jackson, which is another One Piece forum like Arlong Park, I stumbled upon an absolute madman who embarked on a 3-year journey of tracking every panel with every named character in the series, totaling them up, in other words. I cannot verify absolutely, but the sheer depth of the project leads me to believe that if they aren't perfect, they're pretty close numbers. Since this seems like a thing some people might be interested in, I thought I'd share some interesting info that was compiled there.
The guy's name who did this is Watto, I believe, on this.
Okay,
forum.
yeah,
So,
there is a link.
The name.
Yeah, there is a link to the thread in this piece together thread on Reddit. So if you look for the episode 450, you can find it in there. The top 10 appearing characters being Luffy, Nami, Usopp, Zoro, and Sanji, then the rest of the Straw Hats in the order of their joining, and Vivi edging out Law for 10th place, which that's not a surprise, particularly. I'm a little surprised that Usopp is in front of Zoro, given that Zoro was around longer, but
Zoro, he's not very talkative, so the person who's talking is going to be up there more than For Zoro, he's asleep in the corner usually,
right,
or drinking.
Right. As of chapter 822, I'm guessing that was the cutoff. Brooke only had 24 more panels than Vivi, and before Zoe, he was actually trailing Law.
That's not surprising at all.
It's crazy that Brooke has been within the series for like 12 years, but it still feels like he's a new crew member.
Right.
It's true, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Rebecca has appeared in 20 more panels than Smoker.
Oh.
What? That disturbs me.
No, just wait for the next one. Wait for the next one.
Hody Jones had 31 more panels than Whitebeard.
Tragedy. That's a tragedy.
That is tragic.
The white shark beat the white beard. Oh, God.
Well, I mean, if you pin those two things against each other, that's how that's going to break down.
Yeah.
Right.
Moria had only one more panel than Kuro.
What?
That could change.
That will change. That will change.
We'll probably see Moria again.
We'll probably see Kuro again. Maybe.
I'm not sure about that.
No, me neither.
I don't know. Well, maybe we'll see him like in disguise. He's got another, retirement gig lined up.
We'll see him on the beach somewhere.
Maybe he's at the wedding. Who knows, right? Like some crazy guest at the wedding.
What if he is? Oh my god!
Big Mom's like, look at my new butler.
No, he's not a butler.
That would be fantastic.
Stop it. What's next?
Karu has 60 more panels than Blackbeard. That's what I'm talking about.
That makes sense. I'm fine with that. Let's keep it that way.
Oh boy, what do Isa, Mr. Five, and Carrot have in common? All have more panels than Shanks.
Mr. that makes sense.
Yeah, that's not a surprise.
Shanks is the international man of mystery.
Yeah. Carrot is of those three is the most surprising, but especially since it was only 822. Like, God,
Care-
Shax is
care
not
for
in
crew
a lot.
member.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say if she joins after this arc, it's gonna be a lot more.
I'm really hoping
I-
for Pedro
I'm
after
crossing my
this.
fingers.
I
See, I
mean,
kind of feel like Pedro
No,
needs to
Pedro,
be
but he
in
gonna
this.
die. He gonna die.
Yeah,
though.
He's gonna die.
exactly.
that's not true. We don't know if he's
Sacrifice
gonna.
himself,
Okay.
Well,
But we also don't know why Carrot's here.
Yeah.
She's just stowed away like randomly.
Does
I'm
she
like,
need a reason? I mean, remember
would think
Brooke got
so. This is
introduced
pre-
because we're like, "Do you poop?" And he's like, "Yes," and like, join my crew.
yeah, that's a reason.
Anyway, what's the last one here?
So last and probably the greatest. You couldn't have asked for anything better. Johnny and Yosaku have the exact same number of panels.
Those are some
Sweet.
cool numbers. Yeah, please.
Yeah.
If you have more statistics like that, we love that stuff.
Yeah, that's great. We'll move on to Usopp in a duffel bag. Oh God,
Is that a reference from the show? I feel like
No.
we've made that reference on this show.
I don't know. Well, eventually, we're going to get to some point where every single username on these Reddit things are just going to be
That's the
One Piece
goal.
podcast references.
That's
Yeah.
the goal.
Help us. They say, first time listener, long time caller. I was reading this week's chapter and it struck me how similar to Eggman, aka Dr. Robotnik, Tamago's design is. Also, we seemed to have a Tails reference with Pedro spinning his tail like a
Ah.
helicopter.
That's a good catch.
So, with these in mind, are there any other characters that have designs somewhat rooted in Japanese video game history? Luffy did don a Mario-esque mustache once.
It's a me.
This person also forgot about Hogback, who's very, very similar to Eggman.
Now I'm
they forgot
really-
about Dogra.
Does Tamago look a little like a walrus also? Because if he's an Eggman, he's also a walrus. But he kind of
No.
does. No.
Market
Who?
Zero.
Thank you. I'm out. Bye, everyone.
I remember when Chopper went monster form for the first time during Ines Lobby. That was like a couple of months after Shadow Colossus, and that was a big deal at the time.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. Or just it's like Chopper's version of eating the giant mushroom. He turns into Big Mario.
Yeah, disturbingly big.
Yeah, when Luffy eats mushrooms, other things happen.
Oh God.
Yeah. He gets a hand job.
Thank you, Steven.
Oh,
Thank you for
nice.
filling in that blank there.
Ah,
God.
man, I don't know. I feel like Oda himself is not as big of a video game guy. Like I
Yeah,
feel
when
like
does
he
he
gets
have
most
time
of his
to do that?
references.
Yeah, he's not
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
Hunter guy.
To be fair, he has been watching Game of Thrones, so he has some time, but
Yeah.
video games are time consuming, as Roger mentioned too.
It's like as far as we know, the only video games he plays are the One Piece games because he comments on them.
Yeah. That's got to be a little bit a weird ego thing, I feel like.
If
with that.
anything, Oda probably has like really old school video game reference, like early Nintendo.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Right.
What's next?
Let's see. We'll go to Well-Mannered Snake, who has some more putting theories, I guess. Let's see. Some people see some of the scenes of Pudding from previous chapters and think they are out of place just to confuse the readers. However, just because Pudding has been shown not to be a good guy doesn't mean the tones of those scenes change, in my opinion. Pudding still wants to be free. She envies Lola escaping and doesn't want this marriage either. In this very chapter, she states to be getting sick of Big Mom's pampering. We also know that Big Mom has many crazy children, and she holds them all together with her power that none of them can oppose. That is until a certain guy shows up, Capone. I believe he has a master plan to ensure Big Mom's demise, one that would probably include turning the Vinsmokes against Big Mom. He's a realist and knows he couldn't do it himself, so he has to join up and take her down from the inside like the Trojan horse he literally is. This also answers the question
Yeah, I like that.
of why Pudding is telling Reiju and Luffy this information and why she has been acting in front of her family. She's trying to antagonize Luffy as much as possible by saying Big Mom broke her word. Get as many people against Big Mom as possible so they can sneak in and knock her off. Also, Nitro the Jelly has a fedora, and Italian gangsters used to wear them. So what do you guys think of the idea that Pudding and Capone are in cahoots? So yeah, we already talked about them being together, but I think there's some interesting evidence that he was there as well.
I agree.
He raised some pretty good theories right there.
Good job, Mr. Well-Mannered Snake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Glad I'm not alone.
Yeah, let's see. I think the rest of them are kind of retreads of the stuff we've talked about, so we could probably move on.
Ed, it's time for
Peace the Tweet. Oh.
I know we're a little quiet on the piece the tweet front, but what do you got for us?
First one comes from John Botone, who says, "Is there any chance that this pudding is an imposter? I feel like there are some evidence that supports this."
I don't think so.
No.
I think this is pudding.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if she had a alternate identity like we talked about slightly earlier, but I think this is her. Yeah.
Right. All right. And next one, Ricardo Rodriguez asks, "What the hell did Goldie Roger see in Buggy? Why did he let him be part of his crew?" Hey, Buggy's got that magnetic personality. He seems to fail upwards. So what's wrong with having that? You know, you can see.
I mean, he was a cabin boy or pirate in training. He wasn't high up on the totem pole.
Right. Yeah, he's up. I guess there was some potential in him. Next one. Actually, this is just the last one. From Abigail Carbajal, who asks, "How awesome would it be if Sanji broke his no-hitting girls thing to punch Pudding in the face?" All caps.
Whoa.
That would be awesome.
People are really adamant about this, and I'm not feeling this.
It's betrayal. Like, it's a universal thing, but
we had another one from Stacy Chen. If you didn't see
sure.
that.
Finally caught up to the latest OPP eps after 6 months. Thanks for another great year. Also, is it possible to send fan mail?
Yes, and you're listening to the segment where you could do that. You could send email, onepiecepodcast@gmail.com, twitter.com/onepiecepodcast with the hashtag piece the tweet.
She's already figured that out. So maybe she meant like physical mail.
Oh, physical mail?
Yeah, that's what I'm... Yeah.
Yeah. We have a P.O. box, which we do have a P.O. box where you could send mail, which we have not mentioned before, but we'll say that at the end of the piece together segment, because first we have a voicemail. I want to get into that.
What's up? This is Clayton Johnson from Pennsylvania. I was just watching the podcast and heard something about fans could call, so I was like, I don't know what I was gonna call for. Just wanted to say what's up. So what's up? All right, bye. Clayton again. My theory is that the One Piece is Gold Roger's mixtape. Bye bye.
So yeah, any thoughts on Clayton's very well thought theory about Gold Roger's mixtapes? And what would be on those mixtapes? What would Gold Roger listen to?
He only drops 24 Carot Beats because he's Gold Roger.
Wow.
Stop podcast, Ed.
Oh, so many good titles for this episode.
80s glam rock.
It's awesome mix.
I'd imagine there'd be singles from albums that have already gone gold. They would have to be.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you want to send physical mail, you could send it to the One Piece Podcast at Post Office Box 2691 in New York, 10017. Goes for anyone. So yeah, don't fill those because it's not a very big box. But feel free to send your mail.
No, what they do in that case is they just put a little slip in the P.O. box and they hold it behind the counter for you.
See, I didn't know these things. Yeah.
Yep.
So for the new year, I guess we'll open physical mail, but you probably don't want to make it super related to exactly what's happening now because we won't get it for a little while.
If you want to send us presents, I mean, we love presents.
Yeah. Sure. So yeah, I think that concludes our Piece Together segment. Thank you all so much for a great year. It's been great hearing all of your Piece Together. And we'll see you in the new year in 2017. Why don't we round off the show?
Sweet. Let's do it.
All right.
This has been the One Piece Podcast, episode 450 for the week of Monday, December 26, 2016. Great episode today. End of 2016. We could all sigh of relief here. Thank you all for coming on. Really crazy manga chapter this week, and it was a pleasure to go through it with all of you guys. Before we round off, I want to remind everyone that today's episode has been sponsored by Right Stuf. You can check out the latest sales at rightstufanime.com. Also want to remind everyone that One Piece Film Gold is happening starting on January 10th. We will not be back until the 9th, so this is the time that we're telling you about our meetups. We have a New York City meetup, a Minneapolis meetup, a Chicago meetup, a Washington, D.C. meetup, one in L.A., one near Philly, one in Atlanta, and probably many other places. Check all of those out at onepiecepodcast.com. I'm sorry, facebook.com/onepiecepodcast/events. You can find all those out there, and please RSVP if you will be joining us. We will try and wear a One Piece Podcast shirt or if in Roger's case, a Roger's Base shirt to let you guys.
Hey, there you go.
To let you guys know who we are, where we are. Roger has a more recognizable face than the rest of us, since we're mostly voices, disembodied voices. So we look forward to seeing some of the fans in person there. That's going to be a lot of fun. And please see One Piece Film Gold. It's out for a limited time, January 10th through the 17th. The theaters are now available on Funimation's website, and you could search your city or town. We'll post a link in the description, or go to Funimation.com for more information there. Now, where could the good people find all of you good folks? Roger, where could people find you?
Sure, you could find me with my weekly reviews about the anime and the manga of One Piece on Roger's Base on YouTube. I'm also Roger's Base on Twitch. Sometimes I will stream One Piece related games like One Piece Burning Blood. I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy 15 recently though, and I'm home for Christmas, so obviously I won't be streaming anything there. But you can find me on Twitch as well. I am on Twitter at Roger's Base, on Instagram at Roger's Base as well. And since Zach plugged it earlier, I also have a Redbubble store where you can get shirts and travel mugs and even comforters with my logo, and also a specialty shirt that says #MammothBoys, because everybody knows I'm a huge fan of Jack the Drought. You can find those on my Redbubble shop, which is redbubble.com/shop/Roger's Base.
We have one of those as well. You could get both. You could have two comforters, one with Roger's name. So, Steven, where can people find you?
Sure, if you'd like to follow along with my escapades, you may do so at Twitter, twitter.com/Translatosaurus.
Did you forget your Twitter handle?
No, I forgot how that goes. At Translatosaurus, that is my Twitter account.
Brian, where can people find you?
You can find my artwork on DeviantArt, Banendorf. You can watch shows I've worked or directed on. Teen Titans Go, I believe all my directed episodes have aired. But expect to see season 3 of Rick and Morty sometime in 2017. And if you want to see me get mad at Trump and politics, especially going forward in 2017, follow me on Dark King Zora at Twitter, where I will let people fucking have it.
Yeah, that's my Twitter has started to become that a little bit. Alex, where can people find you?
You can find me on all forms of social media, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, et al. At dude! All one word. I will be at MagFest in just a little over a week with my pal Steve Yurko. We'll be palling around, hanging out. You can go ahead.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, it should be good.
If only Zach and Ed were there.
Yeah.
We won't be.
If only Amidala.
No.
I ended up actually getting offered a table that I turned down because I like to have my MagFest to be responsibility free. But don't worry, I'll be hanging out with Steve a lot. Please listen to Keep Your Eyes Open, because we recorded a new 20 minutes of bullshit that should be available soon for your listening pleasure. Please also listen to.
Be on. Go ahead.
I wonder. Toho Yaro, please listen to that. It's a podcast about Japanese film that I do with my friends Scott and Joey from this podcast. And this next episode that should be released closer to the beginning of the new year will be on Torasan. Our last episode's Tampopo. Please watch that. And one last thing. It's about ramen. It's so good. And one last thing, my PSN name is Kazanas, Kazanas. If you want to hit me up, play some Overwatch or Burning Blood, please shoot me a message, let me know. I may or may not be available, but if I am, then awesome. Super good. I'll play you.
And Steve, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram at Steve Yurko, all one word. Yeah, I'm going to be at MagFest. I will have a table. I know we got a bunch of listeners that go to that con. I really hope I see you there. We'll chit chat about One Piece or what the million other things I'm into. And that's really it for now.
You don't have any other podcasts you're working on that might be out soon?
Alex mentioned that 20 minutes of bullshit thing. We haven't released an episode in about 7 months, and we had a pretty good reason to do a new one, so look for that. And I've also had plenty of time since being back on the East Coast and not having much to do here, so I've been editing episodes of Endless Schmaltz, and I look forward to reintroducing those to the world because there is some funny banter between us.
Let's put it this way: it starts out with a Verlina episode.
No, that's the second episode. But I think
it continues with one.
No, Verlina shows up in the first new episode.
And it ends with a Dorothy episode.
Oh god!
It's Relina and Dorothy. For the two people that know what the hell we're talking about right now, you don't want to miss this shit.
Or if you don't know what we're talking about, still go for it. We'll get back into those. I'm excited. I love schmaltz. Yeah, keep an ear out. And Ed, where could the good people out there contact us?
Well, Zach, they can support us, patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. You can find our news and episodes at OnePiecePodcast.com, Twitter.com, YouTube.com, and Facebook.com/OnePiecePodcast. OnePiecePodcast@gmail.com is our email address. OnePiecePodcast is our site name. They can send us some piece together at reddit.com/r/OnePiecePodcast. And they can subscribe on Google Play, subscribe on SoundCloud, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, or call us on our phone number. Zach?
Ed, you could call us at 347-497-MAJI.
Maji.
That phone number again is 347-497-6254. Call anytime.
Anytime.
You never call.
With your questions, your comments, and your heel turn. I can't believe you were evil the whole time. I don't know who I'm talking to here, but you know.
Yeah, well, sometimes, Zach, I can be a little persuasive on the opposite end. So I don't blame you.
Oh, despite all this negativity and heel turns, I just want to thank Zach and Ed and the rest of you guys for absolutely nothing.
Oh God, you suck. You're the worst, Steve. Thank you all for sticking around us for another year at the One Piece Podcast. We will be back in 2017, which God willing, will be a better year for all of us, pending a nuclear annihilation. So, we'll see you then, probably. My name is Zach.
My name is Ed.
My name is Steve.
And my name is Alex.
We'll see you next year, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.
Smell you later.
Bye.